Fire District, Monday, April 1st, 2024, 6:30. Notice requirements of section 121.22 of the Ohio Revised Code and implementing rules adopted by the board pursuant thereto were complied with for the meeting. Roll call.
Paroli here.
Fullerton here.
O'Neill here. Let's stand for the pledge, please.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First order of business minutes pending approval for February 22nd, 2024, September 11th, 2023, and March 4th, 2024. You guys have all received copies. I sent around my edits to them. I would make a motion to approve all three sets. Actually, should probably do September 2nd. You probably won't be voting on that one. Yeah, on last year. Right, okay. I'll make the motion to approve the meeting minutes for September 11th, 2023.
Yeah, I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. September 11 minutes. And I will also make the motion to approve the February 22nd, 2024 and March 4th, 2024 meeting minutes pending the edits that I circulated.
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. March 4th minutes approved and February 22nd. Consent agenda. Any questions on the fiscal report, service department report, fire district report, police report, or zoning report?
No.
Motion to approve?
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign? Approved. Laura, fiscal.
Nothing else
Nothing
besides.
there? Rick, service?
Nothing that's not on my report.
Okay. We do have Ballas Road. We've all circulated the agreement from the county. Concrete, we were out there, last Thursday? Took some core samples from Honey Shade.
Yeah, Wednesday or Thursday.
So, those will be used to evaluate the concrete that needs to be replaced in that cul-de-sac. And then, we're pretty close to being done for, on the administration building, the conference room that we had redone, just waiting on an electrical hookup and, wireless internet. Chief, fire?
We had 47 calls for service in the month of, what was it, March? And, 1 second. My report is missing, got cut off, the numbers got cut off on the report I sent you today, so I will fix that, but I'll resend that. We had 1 in Chatham, 35 in Lafayette, 4 in the village of Chippewa Lake, 5 in Glory Glens, 1 in Westfield, and 1 in Westfield Township. Total 47. 27 during the daytime and 20 at nighttime. 77% were EMS calls. Our average turnout time is 2 minutes and 3 seconds. Year to date is 2 minutes and 7 seconds. And average on-scene time is 5 minutes and 31 seconds. We gave automatic aid to Chatham Township. We gave mutual aid to Westfield Township. And we gave mutual aid to the village of Westfield, 1 time each. Our firefighter advisory committee met on March 21st. We demonstrated firefighter operations and auto extrication to the committee members. That was well attended, and it was a good evening to learn about fire department. Our department, along with all the county fire departments and police departments, participated in 3 tabletop exercises on response to active shooter incidents in the county. We attended the county fire chiefs meeting and all hazards committee meeting. and the Medina Hospital Partnership meeting. Lions Club of Chippewa Lake donated $1,000 to our association for our participation in the floor plunge. And a reminder, big reminder, the pancake breakfast starts this Sunday, 8:30 to 1 p.m. There's some flyers over there if you missed out and don't have social media, grab a flyer so you're reminded that the pancake breakfast is coming up. Kelly Parker is finishing up her Firefighter 1 course this month and moving on to her Firefighter 2 certification. Andrew Berger, Alex Thomas, and Allison Jadlos have completed their Fire Officer 2 certification course, and Tom Kemp completed his Hazmat Technician course this past month. Our flag was down for a few weeks. Our flagpole light has been fixed, so our flag is back up and relit, which is great. We're still waiting on parts to complete the faulty parking lot lights, so that will hopefully be in the next few weeks. The digital sign upgrade should be this month. We're working with the company to set the date, have this completed. And the siren test last month for the National Weather Service drill. Our siren did not function. We had a repeater issue, which is the Medina County is a repeater. Radio talk, a repeater is something that brings the radio signal to the siren. It did not function. The county's repeater was fixed after that situation, so many of the county sirens did not go off, so just an FYI. Our siren is, and we actually, I'm having both Cleveland Communications and Federal Signal come out and do some reviews on our siren to make sure it's still functioning properly, so. And the last couple things, requesting approval to hire Gabe Smith. He's a firefighter level 2 EMT. He'll be starting paramedic school this fall. He lives in Montville Township and he currently works on Put-in Bay Fire Department. And also requesting approve Voldemir Novinsky. He's a local immigrant and he's pursuing a firefighting career. He's currently testing at the Medina County Career Center. He'll be taking Firefighter 1 in the fall. His plan is to become a full-time firefighter paramedic. And the last thing on my list is a request approval of replacement of the automatic locks and key fobs and the quotes attached. We've kind of talked about this over the course of the past few months. So.
Yeah, that's on the agenda, Brian.
Okay. That's all I have, other than you wanna do the, kind of the fire department thing now, the presentation?
Yeah, let's do it, because I apologize, I cut you off last month.
Oh, all right. It's all right, I get cut off a lot. I talk a lot, so. This will be fairly quick, I'm sorry. Death by PowerPoint. I know Lieutenant Markham may tase me if I go too long. But hopefully not. Make sure the TVs are all working. There it goes. So, reviewing the fire department for the past 9 months I've been here, we are kind of running in a deficit, and we have been running in a deficit. I'm gonna kind of explain kind of what we've done to kind of combat that and what we need to do or possibly need to do going forward. So we're gonna look at all these things, the concerns of the department, equipment concerns, capital expenditures, maintaining the fire station, our life-saving equipment, maintaining adequate staffing, and our limited revenue. So this past year, our total revenue was it was $616,200 in 2024, plus EMS billing. That gives us about $746,000 in total revenue, $746,000 in total revenue. In 2023, we spent $838,533 total, so we had a $92,000 deficit. This year, we're at about $800,000 is what we budgeted. We took $1 million budget and pushed it down to $800,000 to try to keep us from overspending. So what we're doing to combat this issue is grants. We're trying as hard as we can to write as many grants as possible. So we received $48,000 in incentive bonuses for our first responders in the past 6 months of the last 6 months of 2023. In total, so far, we've gotten $123,566 in total grants and donations received
this past year that we've used. We've requested so far $217,799. So, and we're looking into all federal grant options, the SABRE grant and the AFG grant. And these are the grants that we've applied for and the donations we've used. Call, sorry. Oh good, somebody turn that down. We're getting a call right now. But these are the grants we've applied for, and some of them are still outstanding. The BWC grant, the ones that are yet highlighted, we're still waiting on awards on those, so, or if we're gonna get those. So, ISO is our insurance, it's what sets your insurance standard for the township. So ISO, Fire Suppression Rating Schedule, they come out every 5 years. Ours is due in 2025. So what they look at is communication, fire department, water supply, and community risk reduction, those 4 things. In those 4 things, they look at dispatch centers, so our county dispatch center gets a rating. Our mobile CAD, which actually I'm gonna talk about that, we actually upgraded some of those things, and our radio capabilities. Those are things that ISO looks at. Our fire department, hose testing, ladder testing, pump testing, and yearly records of those, we also maintain those. And then number of staff on a first alarm. So a first alarm is when the fire goes out or the tones go off for a structure fire, not so much an EMS call, but for a structure fire, how many people turn out and end up on that call for the first alarm? So they look at those, they'll pull certain reports and look at those and determine how well we're doing. Water supply in our community, so the hydrated areas are a plus. Then they look at non-hydrated areas. Some of those things we can't fix because we just don't have water. That's a county system. So, and then the testing and ability of response to a first alarm. So the water supply in our first alarm. So how many apparatus and vehicles we get out the door on a fire alarm. And then community risk reduction, education programs, inspection and prevention. We're doing really well with a lot of these things, but again, limited funding prohibits us from getting to where we should be or where we need to be. We're a 4X, which is not bad for a part-time fire department. You can be as good as a 1 or as bad as a 9 or a 10. So 4X isn't bad, so we're doing okay. Some things we are doing this year, the striker service contract, we're getting equipment maintenance scheduled more frequently. That's something we're doing this year. This iPads mobile solution, Medina County Sheriff actually is paying for the user fees for this program, which is great. We purchased the iPads using grant money. The grant money will pays for the iPads, which is that mobile CAD, which is what they talk about in ISO. So mobile CAD is a plus on our ISO rating. So that'll be something that we've improved on from the 5 years ago. The firefighter exposure grant, exposure to the elements grant, the FEED grant. So this is a turnout gear grant. We were just awarded this, $13,938 from BWC. So we got 4 sets of new turnout gear for our members. And I'm hoping to get more grants to replace more turnout gear. Why? Because the old turnout gear, past few years, and prior, have PFAS in it, this chemical, polyfluorocarbon substance. It's called the forever chemical. It's potentially causing cancerous, off-gassing cancer or causing cancer in firefighters. So we're hoping to get our turnout gear replaced periodically or routinely in the next few years. We purchased new gas detection equipment through grants, $6,362 for that. We kind of cleaned up our apparatus and equipment through grants, spent about $7,000 on that. We've got low angle rescue system, which we didn't have. We have a great gator, but we never had a rope system to actually help people if they fall down a ravine, or we have a lot of parks and recreation areas. This is something that will prevent or help us mitigate a rescue if we needed to. So we bought that. We had old vacuum mattress. Vacuum mattress is used for like a patient that hurts their hip or a back injury, and they may have osteoporosis or some other issues. So a vacuum mattress is important for those elderly people. So this is something we bought with grant money. Our old vacuum mattresses leaked a lot, so you pump them up or pull the air out of them, and then they'd be kind of flimsy still. So it's good we have these new mattresses. Gas power, battery powered saws, chainsaws, K12 saws, and battery powered lights. Battery powered is the way of the future. Gas is, again, we're trying to eliminate or limit our exposure to the elements, so cancer causing elements, so gas, we're trying to get rid of gas or get away from gas and move more towards battery powered equipment. So we use the association, $6,500 through the association's Night at the Races money, we're able to purchase that stuff. So some of the things we need to talk about in the future planning is like replacement of vehicles. These are big capital purchases. So an ambulance pricing in 2024 goes from about $290,000 to about $588,000. We currently have a 2012 ambulance and a 2016 ambulance. These are recommended to replace in about 10 years. And that bottom line there, it takes about 18 to 36 months to build and deliver an ambulance right now. So we're kind of behind the 8 ball, and we really don't have the funds to purchase a new ambulance right now. This is again, this is a pricing sheet from Braun. This is just, I got this from another chief that, hey, here's a pricing sheet. I just threw that up there. That's his asterisk, those aren't mine, but the average, like the F550 liquid springs, which is the picture right here, that is about $303,000. So they're expensive, they're not cheap. When you buy a new ambulance, you need a new cot, you need a new power load system. They won't certify power loads, or they won't move them from one box to the next, meaning the ambulance. So a power load costs $30,000, the cot costs $25,000. You have to have a new one in the new ambulance. You can't take an old power load system, they won't certify it, and they won't warranty it if you take an old one and put it in a new one. So the monitor is $40,000, a stair chair and a Lucas device is $15,000. So those are all added additional costs to an ambulance when you're buying an ambulance. Our pumper is 32 years old. There's a lot of things we can do with the pumper as well. We could do a re-chassis or what's called a remount. The tank's good. We can maybe potentially buy a chassis and put that pump or that tank on but the price is only about $150,000 cheaper. So it's one of those things we have to look at. So the pump or the tanker is in good shape right now. We've got it fixed. We put a lot of money into getting it fixed, so it's in decent shape. So hopefully we can hold on to it for a few more years. But again, a tanker is about $405,000. Yeah, I can't say that today. And then our engines. Our engines are in good shape. I can't complain. They're really a great design, and they're in good shape. They're older, but they're still in good shape. So, but it currently takes about 5 years to build an engine. You can get 20 years out of an engine if you take good care of it. But we're at a 2010. We're waiting 5 years. We're 5 years away from buying a new engine if they continue with the pricing of engines. So, or the bills of engines taking 5 years. And again, here's the price for an engine now. When I started as a firefighter, I think an engine was $250,000 to $300,000. If you have ask Chief Holzman, horse-drawn engines were probably, I don't know, 40,000. Sorry, Chief. But $822,000 for an engine, and that's when I saw that, I couldn't believe it. It's quite a bit of money, and it's taking 44 to 50 months to build that. Support vehicle spread. This is a give me vehicle, which is good. We can get some more time out of that. That's just, I threw that in there. but a new SUV is gonna cost about $50,000, 35 to 50,000 easy. We're not gonna need to purchase, I'll run that thing till the wheels fall off. I'm okay with that. Total repairs to our vehicles in 2023, we spent about $25,000 in repairs. We don't have a preventive maintenance plan in place we currently do not have a preventive maintenance plan in place for the fleet. We have a reactive maintenance plan essentially. So we go and get things fixed. I'd love to have a company come out regularly and go, hey, you got this wrong, this wrong, this wrong, or hey, everything looks good. Instead, hey, this thing breaks, we're gonna go get it fixed. So, something to consider. Staffing, in June of 2022, the Lafayette Fire Department began staffing 24 hours a day with 2 firefighters and EMTs and 1 firefighter and EMT for 8 hours a day. And this was accomplished by using federal COVID relief money, about $58,000 in the ARPA funds. So, and then donations from local residents in the amount of $130,000. So we don't have any plans, we've never had any plans to continue this. There was a lot of talk to continue this and how to figure out how to continue this, but we've never really changed anything. We've kind of been going status quo for the last 5 years almost, or 4 years. So something's gonna have to give eventually. We currently have 2 members staffed 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. They get paid for 18 hours at their hourly rate, and then they get a stipend from midnight to 06 a.m. Weekdays, we have one additional staff member from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and they get paid their hourly rate. So some things to consider with part-time departments. We struggle to fill a schedule with qualified personnel, leaving community at risk of longer response from mutual aid companies. Weekends, holidays, and summers are a challenge to fill shifts. We occasionally have lack of candidates. Right now, we're doing all right. But we have a shortage of there's a shortage of fire service personnel across the nation. And the loss of volunteer fire service, you look at the state fire marshal's website, there's a whole program on the volunteer fire service and how much the volunteer fire service is struggling. And they're looking at a lot of different ways to try to recruit firefighters to do these jobs. Time commitment and training requirements are a challenge, and we're competing with surrounding departments for personnel. And then we're also sharing personnel with other departments, which isn't a bad thing, but it's if Chief Seifert he's got 2 of my guys scheduled, I bet you he's got 1 of my guys scheduled right now. I could call him up and go. So we share resources like that, but then it shorts one or the other, unfortunately. Things to consider when looking at recruitment intention. Our struggle in Lafayette is we're one of the lower paid staff departments in the area. We just haven't caught up with the rest of the departments in the county. Firefighters will leave for better pay and full-time opportunities. Our firefighters work full-time elsewhere and have limited availability to the department. And Lafayette Fire is a stepping stone for full-time department in EMS, which isn't a bad thing either. It's nice to be that stepping stone, and we want to keep those individuals, and a lot of times we do. In the last 2 months, we've had 2 of our part-time firefighters get picked up by full-time fire departments. So they're the one individual, he staffed quite a bit, the maximum amount of hours he could staff, and now he's actually got no availability this month, and hopefully he's gonna give us more staff next month. The other firefighter he started in Wadsworth a few months ago, and he's starting to come back more regularly, but his staffing, his hours has diminished quite a bit, and that's why we're continuing to hire these younger individuals and sending them to school, and then eventually what happens is they move on to bigger and better opportunities. And this is what we pay currently, so that $17.50, we just raised that this year, that's the only thing we raised. The firefighter 2 EMT was at $15 an hour, I believe, and comparative to the other departments, that was way off. So we brought this up to $17.50 to try to stay a little bit comparable to our surrounding departments, so we weren't losing guys to those other departments. But this is kind of the average pay across the county. We have, and again, we kind of compare calls. The more calls you're on, or the less calls you're on, maybe you get you can get away with paying a little bit less, but the more calls you have, the more, if you're average or your calls are a little higher, then maybe you're paying them a little bit more, so. And this is just a quick rundown. This is a cardiac arrest call. So a true cardiac arrest, if you had a perfect world in the cardiac arrest, and this is at least two maybe, or at least one mutual aid company if we were doing this here in Lafayette Township. So you need a captain paramedic who consoles the family, a firefighter paramedic in charge of patient care, delegates assignments to crew members, a firefighter paramedic contact hospital and convey medical direction, document patient care, administer meds, things like that. Firefighter paramedic who maintains patient airway, provides supplemental oxygen. Firefighter paramedic who provides continuous chest compressions, and a firefighter paramedic who does IV access and pushes drugs. So this is a perfect world when we respond to a cardiac arrest. Initially, we have 2 or 3 individuals, and they might be 1 paramedic and 2 EMTs, or we might get lucky and have 2 paramedics and 1 EMT, and then we would call mutual aid from our closest company or mutual aid company, which would be Seville or Westfield or Earhart or Lodi or Medina City. So you want at least 6 on a cardiac arrest call. That's like the structure fire, the big house fire for the medical side. Worst case scenario, it's a cardiac arrest call. Worst case scenario for a fire is a house fire. So you want the greatest number of people to mitigate that situation as quickly and effectively as possible. And so again, we just need to kind of start talking about minimum staffing, what we're going to do in the future. Minimum staffing puts our responders at risk. There's no immediate backup available. Manpower shortage on heavy patients, cardiac arrest and significant injury calls, lack of rescue capabilities without rapid intervention teams for fire side, and ideally we need to transition with the growth of our township. So baby boomers in our community, our call volume is expected to go up 5% every year for the next 10, 15 years for the baby boomers who are aging and becoming ill or sick. So we should expect to see about a 5% increase in our call volume in every year for the next 5 to 10, 15 years. We currently have a little in reserve for capital purchases. Our equipment is aging and it will take funding and years to replace, and our community is growing. We need to explore new concepts for the future when it comes to funding the fire department. So before I get to the next part, on that board over there is a survey. We've put out a survey to the community. As well on the table, there's QR codes, a small QR code. There's a fire department survey that I'd like everybody to take. We're gonna put it on our social media page eventually, and kind of get that out to the community. We need to figure out what we're gonna do next. All right, and I'd like input from the community going forward to do that. I have some ideas, and I'm gonna go over those ideas, but all these are ideas. Nothing is set in stone. I'm not saying we're doing a levy tomorrow or anything like that. I just want to see what the community thinks and what the community thinks about the future of the fire department. Is kind of where we're at. So these are concepts for levies, all right? And these are the concepts for levies, and I kind of figure out the math, and forgive me if my math is wrong. I'm pretty new at being a fire chief, so so if I screwed up any math, just call me out and I'll fix it. But so if we replace our existing levy, we would lose the $59,000 in rollback, which is $59,000 is the state gives us, puts in some funds every year to kind of offset our costs or offset our reduction in the millage. So if we renewed it or replaced it, we'd have $1,013,000 in revenue, $130,000 in EMS revenue, and our total revenue would be $1,143,000. The cost of taxpayers would be $122.50 per 100,000. So when you do the math on levy math, it's the $122.50 times and I base this on a $400,000 home. Some homes are more expensive than that, some homes are less expensive than that, but so $400,000 home, it would be $171.50 per year, but you do 122 times 490 times 0.35 equals $171.50. Does that make sense to everybody? I hated math in high school, I'll tell you that. So, this plan will bring additional funds, but we're interested in making any immediate improvements or staffing change. Total department cost in 2023 was $838. We'd have 304 in carryover. It's not a lot. In 5 years, we'd have a carryover of $1.5 million. If we purchased a tanker and an ambulance, we'd be almost out of that money again. So, not the greatest idea either. Concept 2 would be bringing existing levy up to current value and add an additional 1 mil levy, temporary or permanent. We lose the 59,000 again in rollback. Again, our taxes would be $1,013,000. Cost of taxpayers $122.50, plus the additional $282,000 would be added on the millage. The cost of taxpayer for that additional levy would be $35 per 100,000. So 122.50 plus 35 equals 157. You do the math down here, and you're about 220 per 400,000. So a total revenue of $1,425,000. Concept 3, which is kind of my favorite, but it is what it is. It's a knotted permanent levy. And that's the thing I'd like to kind of say, that I don't want to see a permanent levy that we don't know what the future holds anyway. So taxes are $616,200. We keep an existing levy alone. The cost of the taxpayers right now with the existing levy is $63.14 per 100,000. The 2.5 would bring in an additional $723,000. The cost of taxpayers would be $87.50 per 100,000. Those totals together, $87.50 plus $63.14, $150.64 times the 400,000 equals $602.56 times that 0.35%, and you're looking at about $210,000 or $210 per $400,000 home, per $400,000 home. EMS would be 130, brings in about 130,000. Total revenue would be about $1,400,000. This would give us enough capital improvement and ability to change our staffing levels to maybe even a full-time positions, or maybe one full-time position per shift, augmented with part-time positions. It would give us enough revenue to replace ambulances and tanker, and potentially what this would do, it would run out when the bond ran out. When the bond was paid off, this levy would be paid, or this levy would be running out. We would have to either decide to continue this levy or move on to something different, depending on how it looks in the next 5 years. If the township has grown, or the township has stayed the same, where do we wanna be in the next 5 years, kind of thing. And then concept 3 is just another 3 mil levy, same kind of thing, added $616, cost of taxpayers $613, same thing. So this would bring in $1,600,000, the same kind of math. On a $400,000 home, you'd be paying about $235.40 for the year. So what I want you all to do, and I want the community to do, is take this survey and give us some feedback on what you'd like to see in the future. I hope I didn't talk too long. I didn't get tased yet, so that's a good thing. Any questions from anyone? Yes, sir.
Just a quick question on the vehicles that you were talking about. Would it be, number one, if we were to order a new vehicle today, it takes 3 to 5 years to get it in. Do we have to put any money down on that vehicle up front?
So no, on some of them we do not. So depending on, so a fire truck, yes. A ambulance, no. We could potentially purchase the vehicle now and have write a receipt and say, hey, we're paying it on delivery, and that's what we can do.
In your opinion, do you think it would be worthwhile to lock in a price today instead of maybe we can get our trucks another couple of years and then order? The price would obviously be higher in a couple of years. In your opinion, do you think it would be better if we did it today?
Next week, I'm meeting with 2 different ambulance companies
Okay,
to talk to them about pricing.
okay.
Yeah, and then I'll go to the board of trustees and say, hey, this is what we have, and, so next week on the 15th, actually April 15th, not next week, but in a week and a half or whatever, so. 2 weeks, is that 2 weeks from now? Thank you. I lose my dates sometimes. Any other questions for me? Yes, sir.
Does the equipment we have now, so we're looking to replace, have value to somebody else?
Yes, so potentially we could do that as well. We could potentially sell some of our equipment. The hard part about that is selling the equipment and waiting for a new replacement to come in. So if we bought for example, a fire engine, we have 2. If we decided, hey, we're gonna buy a brand new fire engine, it's gonna take 5 years for us to get that engine. Do we lose one engine for 5 years and put that money towards this purchase, or do we keep both fire engines and wait till we get the new fire engine in? So that's the hard part.
Thank you.
Yeah, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So you mentioned the repeaters on earlier during the report, malfunctioning on the sirens.
Yes, sir.
Do they work? Will they work tomorrow?
They been fixed, yes.
Okay,
Matt
so-
Neal and I had a conversation last week. I called him about and actually it's kind of comical, because I said, hey, I don't think our siren went off, and I called the county, and then they said, hey, call Matt Neal, he's with Cleveland Communications right now, and Cleveland Communications was fixing our repeater, our county repeater, and he wasn't very happy with them, so.
Okay, just curious.
Yes, sir. And on that note, please, tomorrow is bad weather. I don't know if you've seen the reports, but I've just got EMA reports. I've gotten 2 emails since I've been standing up here. Tomorrow is gonna be potentially very bad weather, potentially. So if you aren't signed up for this Medina County Alerts, please take one of these before you leave. The siren is supposedly for outdoor use only. You may or may not hear it. So again, this is the best course of action. Get those notifications on your phone. Please do that. I don't know how bad this storm is. Sometimes these storms pass us right up and it's no big deal, and sometimes we're gonna get hit pretty hard. So just be prepared, and please sign up for this. I'll put those over on the table again. If you don't have any other questions, I'm gonna, yes ma'am, all right.
Question, kind
Yes,
of a
ma'am.
comment, while you were doing your concepts, I kind of heard people asking or trying to figure out how you, did the 400,000 to figure out how much their taxes would increase. Maybe you can explain that. There's a lot of confusion for people when they try to figure out how much their taxes are gonna go up. So
This is the math part where I'm gonna probably mess it up, but I'm gonna maybe rely on a guy that's an accountant
Tell
over
them
here
how
in a
to
second.
refer to getting that amount, like auditor's office.
So on your assessed value, so a $400,000 home is assessed at your assessed value. So on taxes, it's appraised value. So it's at 0.35% or 35%, 35%. So at 35%, your home is $140,000. So, or $140,000, for a $400,000 home, it's for $140,000. Does that make sense? Right? Am I right?
What's your tax?
That would be that's your taxable appraised value. So that taxable appraised value, then you base it on, so if it's a 2.5 mil levy, you add 35 times 2, or 35 times 2, and then add 1750, half of 35, and you've got what your $100,000 of assessed value is. Does that make sense? Probably not. Maybe. I'm confused, but yeah. I could write, like, it's better to even, like, I could
Well,
write it
know,
down
but
for you.
that is a lot
Yeah.
of questions in that.
It is
there's a lot of
confusing, and the auditor does have a calculation program, but yeah, I mean, am I answering? Yes, ma'am.
I kinda like did the math, and at 400,000, you're, at the highest one, your taxes would go up $18.35 a month. On the, so it's not really gonna break your budget, but that breaks it down kinda to simply for how much more your taxes will be raised each month. That make sense?
So everybody got that? Thank you, ma'am. I appreciate that. Yeah, can I bring you over? You math teacher, were you my math teacher?
I think somebody that's
Yes,
asking
ma'am.
us for money would have it together.
Not to you, but to the trustees, when you continue speaking, could you speak up a little louder? I notice you're kind of talking to the table and I can't hear. Okay, thank you.
So before I leave, do you guys wanna make any motions on the, last three things on my agenda? Just a reminder.
I have a question.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Is there not a scheduled regular maintenance for the alarms? Because I'm thinking if this would have been tested within such and such amount of time, they would have went off.
The sirens?
Yes, yes.
So our sirens are tested monthly, but our siren only receives. So we don't get a report back that it went off. All we can do is hear if it went off. Our siren needs to be updated, and that's why I've called Cleveland Communication and Federal Signal Corps. Our siren years ago was only tested, or only set up to receive messages. So most of the other sirens in the county get feedback, so they have a closed loop communication system. They get the message to the siren, and then it goes back to the county dispatch and it says the siren went off. Ours does not do that.
So, just to clarify, you had mentioned that it was the county's.
And it's the county repeater
county
that
repeater
caused it
failed,
to not
not
go off, not
our
us, not the test system, and it was many of the sirens did not go off on that tornado siren day.
Brian, I'll make the motion to hire Gabe and, Valdemir.
Neil, real quick, I do have one question on
Yeah.
Valdemir. What credentials does he currently hold?
He doesn't have any credentials, but he's gonna be going to firefighting one school in the fall, so, or the fall or January,
So what role do you see him? I mean, I know we kind of.
So he's not gonna be paid until he's certified.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So he won't be able to stat.
Yeah, we have turnout gear for him and some older turnout gear for him and stuff like that. He'll come in and do some like warning, and then once he passes his test at the Career Center, is what's called a TAPE test, he'll be able to take that firefighter one course.
Okay.
And those courses are reimbursed by the state, so those are.
So I made the motion.
I'll second.
All those in favor of bringing on Valdemir and Gabriel, aye?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Do you wanna discuss the Corson thing at this point, or do you wanna wait till later in the?
The chief had brought up a while back, the key fob system, and I'm not sure why it didn't make the agenda last month. But he was pushing, for a company, named Corson, and, to fix our fob issue for the doors. And, we had talked about using, ARPA money to fix for the physical building itself, and, Mike, we talked about that, using township ARPA money for the structure building here. So I would move to approve that we hire Corson to fix the fobs for this entire building at $32,253.50 using the ARPA money.
Before a second, what exactly, Chief, is that going to do? What are we going to get for that? 'Cause we had approved $46,000 total for the building, but that was including
The cameras.
security cameras as well.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be 13 door strikes at $7 per, well, it's gonna be added to door strikes, new door strikes that are updated so we can actually utilize them. There's no, newer technology, when you scan in with a key fob, it records whose key fob that was. This system doesn't do that at all, so, we can also unlock and lock doors remotely.
But the new one will do that, correct?
The new one will do that, yes, sir. So like, for example, this room gets utilized quite a bit by different committees. A lot of times I come in the morning and that door was left unlocked. Not blaming anybody, but it's not a good thing. So if I could literally go to my phone before I go to bed at night and click lock, I can lock the whole station down. That's what this system will do. And you can access, like you could have multiple users on that. They could kind of keep track of who's entering, who's exiting, like that kind of thing, so. Not a big issue or a big concern, but it's something that's, needed to be done. The key fobs, or the fob doors back here on the bay doors, don't typically work that well because there's such a far, line, electric. There's too far of a draw or line for the electric to go. So you go back to that, if I pull in back here to open this door, I can't open that door with my key fob. This back door to the bay, the front door occasionally doesn't work as well, so if guys are coming in and running in here to go to a call, key fob, click, nope, click, nope, and you're digging your pocket and you're opening it up with a key if you have it, so. This'll fix that system.
This includes everything, the labor part of everything?
Yeah.
I would second the motion.
I have one question, Laura, I know, the ARPA funds kind of have been going on for a long period of time. We've approved quite a few things that haven't necessarily been paid for. I think the last figure that I saw from you was a little over 200,000 still
Yes.
left in ARPA funds. Do we have a running total of kind of what we've already
Take
committed out of
Take
that?
that number and subtract 20,000 for the roof that we just paid, and that will be everything so far.
So we have nothing else kind of floating out there?
Any other discussion?
No.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Anything else, Chief?
Nope, that's all I have. Everybody? Thank you.
Lieutenant Martin, please. Thank you, Chief.
Yep.
I just have a few things in addition to the monthly report, but I can promise there's no levy math in my report. 300, there were 378 total incidents last month. Some of the highlights, there were 112 vacation watches, 20 radar enforcement, 26 traffic stops, 5 disturbances, and 2 assaults. We had a few complaints last month about the traffic enforcement, and we have been working on all those locations. And that's all I have, unless you guys have something else for me.
Thank you, Lieutenant.
Thanks.
Someone?
You guys are stuck with me. Unfortunately, Sherry wasn't able to make it this evening. For the month of March, zone fees, 2371.61, with an estimated value of 1,572,545. We still have 3 ongoing issues over on Polker Road, but it does seem that we're kind of wrapping up on at least 2 of them. 66 and 95, the property with the tent that was eventually gonna be moved. They're in the process of moving all of their material off of there. they've got most everything out. The rest should be going into storage this month, so hopefully that'll be returning back to kind of just an empty lot. Most of the vehicles, debris, anything that was left there has been cleaned up. We have the Pace property. Sherry's been out there several times over the last month to visit with Mr. Pace and make sure that he's cleaning up as best as possible. And at this point, it seems to be more of a neighborly dispute than anything for us to get involved in. But again, something that's probably worth continuing to monitor.
The cleanup process is going along though with him.
Well, yeah, and I mean, as far as, it falls into the same thing that we discussed before with, the definition of a junk vehicle, what's a junk vehicle and what's not. Most of what's visible, is cars that are potentially being worked on. I don't know that they would fit the legal standard for us to be able to distribute, but again, that's something that, Sherry's keeping a close eye on. And then obviously, Mike might be able to answer better for us, but what defines living on a prop, you know what I mean? Like, how long is he allowed to be there? How long is he not allowed to be there? That kind of stuff. So that's definitely a challenging situation. And then the Pulker Senior property. Sherry was out there, and actually Chris and I were talking about it earlier. Drove by just Saturday, and it looks like they've actually made progress on where it had started to get to. So, it looked like for a while there we were going to have to go back to clean it up, but the piles are getting smaller and more organized again. So I think it's just another one of those ones that we want to keep monitoring at this point, but probably not a point to intervene.
Well, that's actually one I was gonna talk about later, but Kat, if you wanna say
I don't know
something.
about them getting smaller. They're not adding to it.
Okay.
I agree to that, but it's still, they go out there and pick up from this pile, look at it, put it
Move
in
it to a
this
different one.
pile.
The recent pictures.
They redistribute.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and nothing really gets done.
No.
I mean, because it had been getting worse again.
Yeah,
And-
they're not adding. I haven't seen them bring in stuff, so.
Well, and I will definitely defer, you see the property far more often than I can drive by, so, I just know that, about a month ago, it looked like it was starting to get pretty ugly again, and then, like you said, they might just be moving the piles around and making them look a little bit neater, but.
Yeah, it's objective,
Yeah.
subjective, or whatever, yeah. There's still trash out there.
But we definitely need to stay on top of that with them, and Sherry, like I said, has been out there a couple times, I know.
I've seen her
Yeah.
come by and talk to them and,
Well, while Mike's here, we might just kind of continue with this. We're coming up on a year, I think it was April, I don't remember the exact date last year, where we held a hearing and had that property declared a public nuisance. And we have up to a year again to repeat the process without going through the whole hearing thing again, correct?
Right, yeah, that's right.
And so I'm kind of the opinion that we go down that road again. Unfortunately, he paid his taxes, I hate to have to do it, but what happens if next month, now we're past a year and the driveway gets worse again, and we're back to square one, then we have to start over?
So, Mike, if I understand right, we have 12 months from the last hearing, the last time we ruled it a public nuisance. We could do the same thing again, but we have to act before the, okay,
Yeah,
so.
that's right. The statute allows you to go back and clean it up within
12 months.
Within 12 months.
Okay.
And I think, if you don't make that, it's not insurmountable to just declare it a nuisance again.
Correct.
And you've got some dialogue with the owner of the property, so that, I don't know if you need to rush to do it before, but that's your, you do have that authority, so, and overall, in the future, probably, if you face this kind of situation, if you clean it up and then they start to accumulate, maybe don't wait too long, and then you don't accumulate as much cost either, and that will send a message to the person who decides to reaccumulate.
Right. We purposely waited this time around to see if they were going pay the taxes.
That's right, yeah,
February.
you spent quite a bit of money last year,
Right.
and it looks like he's paying off the tax this year. I checked the, I don't know if that's been returned, no, it hasn't been paid over to the township yet, but it has been paid at the treasurer's office.
Right. So your opinion on the injunction avenue?
Yeah, well, it's, you know, it's not, I think you're much better off doing the nuisance. That's a device, an authority that you have, and if we did it as a zoning offense, we'd have to go to the court to get an order, we'd have to file a complaint against the owner. It would take several months just to get service on the complaint, and once, even if we get a judgment, and this kind of accumulation isn't the best type of thing to treat as a zoning offense, I think. Particularly since you have the authority to declare it a nuisance and simply clean it up. If we went to court, ultimately the court would order them to clean it up. If they didn't, the court doesn't have that many tools other than holding them in contempt, and could fine them, but that's not as effective as you guys going in and cleaning it up.
Right.
And you do have the ability to certify the costs to be collected as taxes, and they have no, you know, that's a guaranteed repayment, even if we have to foreclose on the property.
Right.
So, those are all things to take into consideration, I think.
Additional thoughts? I mean,
No, I, makes
Yeah.
sense, it's just a matter of when,
it's not the end of the world to
when
hold
we-
another public
yeah.
hearing if it works.
no. I mean, were you looking to?
Well, I mean, if it was gonna be a dire emergency or it was gonna save a lot of time, I was gonna, just to get under the year deadline, I would have proposed to do it, but it's not, it's the biggest deal in the world to have the hearing again.
Yeah, and I don't know what, you know, as you said, there's some photos that I think the zoning inspector had sent to me, from the end of last week, indicate, and she had been out to talk to Mr. Folker's son.
Right.
And, he seems to have responded with some effort to, but, you know, so it's just difficult to initiate that enforced cleanup when she's in discussions with him and he
Right.
seems to be responding.
Right.
So that's my only hesitancy, so that's the situation. But you do have authority based on what's out there.
Right.
That's as much as I can tell.
I guess my thought on it would be, and I might be wrong, but I'm just thinking back to when the board last year took those steps, I wanna say it was the second half of the year. So I think we'd have at least until the
No,
May meeting, but.
We held the hearing in April.
Did we?
Date, and then we did the cleanup the first week of May.
Okay.
Yeah, you're right up against it, yeah.
I mean, I would have no problem, you know, doing that. I mean, that is probably the best solution, you
If we
know,
were
for
to-
everybody involved. but-
If we were to initiate it, we'd give with a letter and inform them that we intend to move forward again, and he responded and said, hey, I'm in the process of doing it, he called us back and worked with it, like any of the lien holders can do in the bank. We're still under that 1-year deadline as to initiating contact again, correct? So,
Oh, yeah, well, I think you can always initiate the contact, you know, you can, and they're very much aware that you did do an enforced cleanup, so you're not prohibited from, having a dialogue with them, certainly.
then, and I would say we ought to, and I mean, I don't know if you wanna do it or I can do it again. You send them letters again, notify the banks. I don't know.
We have to go the bank route again?
Well, we have to notify lien holders. Well, we did a title search last year, we should probably do another title search to see if there's any new.
Yeah, if, you know, it's awfully close to the 1 year. So I think, that it probably makes more sense to go ahead through the notice process. That's what I'd recommend. Even though you might have a few weeks yet to do it, it seems like a rush to do it, and under the circumstances, I would recommend we start that. The title search is not that expensive.
Correct.
So, you know, we can help you work through that process.
That all goes into the cost of the cleanup as well, though,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we do, right. Yeah. that'll
And
work.
absolutely, let's, I don't know, since you wanna take point on that,
Sure.
Dan, since you were working on it last year?
Yep, I'll give you. Anything else on zoning?
That was all I had for zoning, Jerry's, yeah.
Okay. Public participation.
I have an issue.
Hold on, Mark. you should
Oh, Mark. He's quicker than me.
Just state your name for the record.
Mark Frederick, 6146 West Smith Road, Medina, Ohio, 44256. State of Ohio, United States of America, continent North America, planet Earth, Milky Way solar system. I don't have to hide from nobody. A lot of you already know who I am. With liberty and justice for all. For all. But I want to exclude those 9 million that snuck across the border. I don't think we should give them too much liberty or justice. You don't want to hear what I mean. It's April Fool's Day, you know, but I ain't a fool. And the reason I did that, because after they hear what I got to say, they're probably gonna shit. You know what? Government's out of control. Think about it, and we let it happen. We sit back and we quietly, we the sheeple, get fleeced. And I'll stop it, you know what I'm thinking next. Federal income tax. It's temporary. Go back, do your homework. It's temporary. We're only going to have a temporary federal income tax to pay for the war. Mighty damn well temporary. State income tax, local income tax, sales tax, real estate tax. You know what? I want to go out there and drown a worm. Go fishing. Fishing license, hunting license, dog license, marriage license, driver's license, license plate. You start to see a pattern here a little bit, maybe. You know what? When I get down to it really, I'm thinking revolution. I don't know if I blood anyone, but I'm thinking revolution. I'll stop there. Tea Party. Did it before, let's do it again. I don't know what we're gonna throw in this time though. You know what? No government, none. We've had enough. I mean, nobody from dog catcher on up. We get to God, I'll leave him there. Anybody less than that, whoop. No levy. No police, no fire, no courts, no jail, no judges, no lawyer, no library, no roads, no schools, nothing done. Then after I said that, you know what, I thought about it. We probably need one guy with a snowplow and maybe 3 guys in a dump truck full of asphalt, just to be safe. That's about all the government I think we need. You know, all these decades in Lafayette Township for me, it's been fine, never had a problem. You never saw much of me. Saw the toilets out front, you know, they've been there a while. But now all of a sudden we're in a deficit, we're broke. Why? Who's padding the payroll? Why did the payroll almost double? From what I'm hearing, is this kind of like, I'll get you votes and you give me a pay job? Could be. You know what I think? I think we need a state audit. And if some of you don't push it, you know I will. You know, Lafayette Township is kind of a unique place. I really like it here. I don't know if you've heard me say it before, but I'm here for eternity. $3 of gas and tobacco when I'm going down, and then under Ohio Revised Code, check it out in the township. Somebody gets my house and they get a free ghost to go with it. You know what? We also have a unique situation here. Lafayette Township, as far as I can tell, it's the only township where we have a tail that wags the dog. Woof! A fire department that tells the trustees what they're gonna do, and they rubber stamp it. Very criminal. Well, I hope I don't ever have to get a call from the fire department, a heart attack, all 6 of them won't show up. But I would like to add, we saw some good, heard some good advice today about that nuisance. Thank you for that one. I'm glad to hear that. And as far as I'm concerned, the free healthcare is over. I'm watching you guys. You need healthcare, get a real job. I did. Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am?
God, I love that man. I understand last week, Laura was sworn in. Oh, I'm sorry. Renee Drake, live out on Lake Road. I understand Laura was sworn in. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I also understand that there was only 3 of you that were invited. Y'all left Justin out, and I would like a reason why you did that.
I would say that frankly, and I don't.
Could you
mean
speak
this-
up?
I would say that frankly, and I don't mean this to be derogatory or anything, but, I would say that most folks up here at least, don't really have a big level of trust for Justin Pearl. I think that's probably rightfully so.
Why?
I sincerely hope that can change over the coming months, but why? Because for the last 2+ years, he's tried to kind of burn us at just about every turn, every meeting.
By burn, do you mean make things right?
You know?
You sure?
I mean, find fault with what we did.
Okay. I think it was childish. I think we're all adults. You all are adults. You learn to get together. We voted him in. We trust him.
I agree.
People voted you in. They trusted you.
I agree.
What you all did, shame on you. That's wrong. The next thing I have, I would like to know where the 2020-2021 audit is. It has been 822 days. The average is 300 for most townships, county, whatever, is 300 to 500 days. Why in God's name are we at 822?
You're welcome to contact Perry auditors. They just submitted it to Auditor of State.
What then?
That has nothing to do with us. We gave them all the information, they go back and forth, they request more information, and then they send it to the Auditor of State. You're welcome to contact them.
Okay, all right.
Oh, I'm sorry, were you done?
No, yeah, I'm done.
Real quick, I would like to interject then, so.
Justin, you gotta speak up.
Yeah, I apologize. I guess let me start with the swearing in. I really couldn't care less, but I thank you for taking the moment to speak. I do, yeah, it kind of bothers me when he sits up here and says that for good reason they don't trust me. Especially when one of the agenda items for tonight is the healthcare insurance renewal, which I believe was transmitted to the township on February 22nd, that I had to get from the insurance agent this week because that had never been forwarded to me. To follow up with the second piece of that question, and Mike, you can correct me if I'm wrong, obviously communications on the audit are not public record until the audit's completed. But all communications between Perry and Associates or the state auditor, now that I'm a trustee, I'm entitled to all those communications, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, so this week I can get all those, Laura?
Sure.
Okay.
Have you asked for them before?
I asked what the status of the audit was.
And the answer was?
There were some investigations going back and forth. Perry and Associates doesn't want to give me a whole lot of information because they want it to go through the fiscal officer. I haven't asked Laura specifically for all the communication yet, but, you know, obviously it's been difficult to get all of the information to do my job
The
to date,
prosecutor's
so.
office also just said he'll have to see, the answer to if you'll have access to everything, just so you know he was continuing to talk.
Right, he's an attorney, it's okay, but,
But you're assuming he just answered your question, you interrupted him.
cause I know the answer to the question. But thank you.
Mike Costello, 5525 Wagon Trail. You, Mr. O'Neill, said that you guys don't trust Justin, but how many times over the last 24 months have the three of you sat up there, meaning Ms. Rubensall, Mr. Fullerton, Mr. O'Neill, and told us that our fire department had plenty of money and weren't in any financial difficulty? Yet and before you talk, back in November, right before the election, it might have been at the end of October, you guys actually had a special meeting, and one of your talking points was how financially sound the fire department is. So when it comes down to who doesn't really trust who, I'm not sure I trust the information that the three of you provide us as far as financials on this township.
You're entitled to your view, but I think when we spoke, or when we had our special meeting back in October, the numbers that we had, and I think they may have been revised a little bit, but there was definitely not hundreds of thousands of dollars missing, as was the rumor going around the township. I don't think we ever said we were financially sound. In fact, I said in that meeting, we don't know exactly what it's gonna end up to the end of the year, but it wasn't going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars.
And don't forget, one of the things that Perry has gone back and forth on is this fire district. I mean, when you guys brought me into this office, it was just getting split.
You were voted into this office.
Yes.
I want to be
but
clear.
You guys, like, never mind. Anyway, like I said, you can contact Perry, you can get all the information. The money has to be split a certain way. They are still going back and forth on where the bond fund should live. Should it live on the township? Should it live in the fire district? That's not a decision I can make. Heck, we've even gone to attorneys. We've gone to OTA. UAN is UAN. I can pull you any report you want.
Okay, thank you.
Go ahead.
Mine's easy. Linda Bowers, 6440 Ryan Road. I just want to know, on the $130,000 that the fire chief showed for donations from the public, how much of that was that 20-some-year-old estate settlement to the Chippewa Lake Fire Department, the old bequeath?
I don't know what that is.
So if I told you it was about 130,000, you wouldn't be able to dispute that then?
Well, I don't know who that was supposed to come from. This is.
There was,
there was 130,000 approximately.
I'm just trying to see whether, my question, I guess, is that's kind of one-time money. It came from an old estate bequeath to an old fire district, so that's not something that we can count on every
Right.
year, am I right?
Right.
Okay.
100%.
That was my question, thank you.
Anyone else?
I would like to say that I just started coming to these meetings with Justin's installation. And Linda Collins, 129 Shamesville. And I got a pair of brass ones, and I want to know who of you guys will stand up in support of Justin. And that's why we're here.
Matt, go ahead.
Real quick, I'm Stacey Malacher, I'm the superintendent of the Madison County Board of Developmental Disabilities, and I try to come out here once a year.
Ma'am,
Could you speak up? I'm sorry, Stacey Malacher, the superintendent of, the Medina County Board of Developmental Disabilities. I got some other phones on, pass that around. Just giving you our annual, we do an annual report. We serve, and first I need to thank all of you because of levy dollars that we're able to do this. We served last year almost 1,500 citizens of Medina County that have a developmental disability. Once somebody is eligible for our services, they are for life. And that funds their services, whether it's they need help in their home, if they need transportation, if they need programming, help them find a job, keeping a job. It funds all sorts of things like that. And I've got some extra, and you can also get this on our website of our annual report. The other thing I passed out is inclusion. So one of the things that we're working on in the community is how do we make the community more inclusive for people with a disability, however that may be. Right now, we're looking at getting more adult changing tables out into the community. So we're looking at some community places where we can get some adult changing tables. And I know that we don't always think about that. You know, we think about having the larger stalls and the grab bars and that. But if you are a teenager, an adult that has, uses a wheelchair or has some ambulation needs, going out in the community and being able to use the restroom is really important to you. So we're trying to find opportunities where we can get those things out in the communities and make the community more accessible for not only the people with disabilities, but their families when we're taking them out. So those are some of the things that we're working on. Can I answer any questions or share anything else with you? Again, we appreciate the support that all of you give people in the community with developmental disabilities. So, thank you.
Thank you, thank you.
I forgot something. Linda Bowers again. On election night, I think you all, well, I know y'all know that I was on the ballot, so I stopped down to read the tapes on the door. I wanted to see what my precinct turnout was. And both doors were open on the township hall, and all the equipment was still in there. I thought maybe there'd be somebody still be inside because the doors were open, but I popped the door open and there wasn't. I know that there was quite the police investigation on that. I was not trying to cause trouble. I just thought that, I know that the township has to unlock and lock that door, and maybe that was your first election and it was kind of an oversight, and that somebody should lock the door because all the equipment's in there. And I think the only way you could lock it is with a key, so I wasn't trying to cause trouble. I just thought that somebody should lock the door. I was quite surprised when I got contacted by the police department to inquire about that. So just wanted you to know why it happened and how it happened.
Were you able to find the results already?
Well, no, there was nothing posted. There was.
They're hanging on the glass door on the west side of the building.
They've always been on the back door, and that's the only place I looked.
Not for the last few years.
Yeah, well, I haven't been on the ballot for the last 2 years. That's the only place I looked, and but the doors were open. So, and they needed to be locked. That was the only, your numbers aren't published. I knew if I called the township hall, there's nobody down there. So I called the Board of Elections and let them know that the door's unlocked, assuming that they had some contact. So that's the only reason I did that.
Okay, thank you. Sir?
Good evening, my name is Brian Grabowski. I'm a homeowner over on Ryan Road. First, I just wanted to say thank you for setting up that traffic study that's gonna be done at the corner of Bryan and Wedgewood. It's a pretty bad intersection, so I'm glad somebody's taking a look at it, so thank you. And I'd also like to propose engine brake restrictions on Wedgewood and Ryan as well. It can be pretty loud, pretty, off hours, 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, and somebody's jake braking across your property, it wakes you up, it startles you.
We were actually gonna talk about Jake breaks again. Now, you wanna wait until we get there? Or, I mean, I think we should kind of move on, unless there's any more public participation, but we are going to address that, later in the evening.
Great, thank you, appreciate it.
Anybody else for, public participation? Shelley?
Gary Benoit, 5535 Wagon Trail. I understand that the finalising of all the documents and your financial records and that have to be finalised, but why are they not always accessible then? And what's the delay then in us having copies of them sooner? Because I've noticed that on the website a number of them aren't available either, and neither are they when we request them from the auditor's office. So how can we speed that process up so that when we do request them, you guys can give them to the public a little bit quicker?
I'm not exactly sure what records you're referring to.
So the financial records.
From the auditor's office?
From the auditor, from when you do all of yours, from the previous years, they've been slow in coming forward in us being able to receive them. So is the delay on your side, or is it?
You can go to the Auditor of State's website, and search for them. And when the auditor of state approves this year's audit, or, well, 2 years ago, that audit, it'll be posted up there, but you're free to go out there at any time and search for them.
So the one that Rennie was talking about then in 2020?
2021.
It's delayed because the auditor's office are still dealing with it?
Yep.
Okay, and the issue then with that being delayed is because of?
You'd have to ask them. I have
You
no
don't
idea.
know.
We give them all the information they ask for, and then they review it, and they send it to the auditor of state, and then they approve, and they come back with questions, and we have to give them more information. So as far as I know, it's in the auditor of state's hands right now.
Okay, no, thank you.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Ma'am?
Kathy Cabanas from, I was just down the road there. I was just wondering, the entrance from 162, when you pull in here, is very dark. And I was wondering if you considered putting a light there.
We did, in fact, they delivered a pole a while
When did it
back.
go in?
It hasn't, they delivered the pole, it was laying there. Well, they drilled the hole for it, and then they filled the hole back in and took the pole, so. I think Rick is in contact, he's trying to contact the highway and find out what to do.
So there is gonna be a light.
I hope so. I don't know why
Yeah,
they
'cause
took it
that's
away.
very- That's really very dark. Yeah.
Anybody else?
So has that light always been there, the light that's there? Cause I just noticed it the other day leaving zoning, it's across the street.
Yeah,
That light's always been there.
for the last several years. anyway.
Okay. It's just not very bright, I said, someone said they could brighten that light up and it would almost dual purpose.
Right.
You sure this ain't Cleveland?
All right, let's move to unresolved business. Did we go through unresolved business, new business, and correspondence? You mind if we hear the topics that Mike wanted to?
Yeah, I'm fine, absolutely.
We'll jump around a little bit. So,
People in the back are still having problems hearing you.
sorry, we're gonna jump around a little bit and hit the topics that the prosecutor's office can weigh in on while he's here, so he doesn't have to wait around for the whole evening. But we talked about controlled access, 6808 Spencer Lake Road property. This is one that we touched on in February, and we decided to wait until see if they pay the taxes. They didn't pay the taxes. Since then, I've spoken with the building department, and here's some pictures. With this adjudication order, we're basically obligated to do something with it now, correct? To rectify the problem?
Well, I don't know that I'd say you're obligated to, but you have the authority to do something.
I don't know if you can see him well. He sounded to me, he showed me a video too. This is Richard Nelson. There were rats, mice crawling across the countertops. If you want to take a look at these pictures. But the process is similar to the Parker Road property, but we do not have to hold a public hearing. We've already got the authority to move forward.
No, we'd have to do a title search.
Right.
And send the notice.
Correct.
And give an opportunity for a hearing in the same way that you would the other.
We don't have to hold a hearing beforehand to declare this anything.
Oh, that's right. It's different in the sense that your action is based on the determination by the building department.
So I would make the motion that we begin with the title search right now. And then if you wanna let me run with this and I can do them at the same time, we'd have to have a resolution in order to do it and agree to give them the public notice, the property owner, any lien holders, any interested parties. And then they would have the opportunity of hearing after that, but that has to be done by a resolution, correct?
Yes.
Yes. And for the May meeting, I could have a resolution drawn up if you guys are okay with that. Well, I
I'm still of the same opinion I was before. You drive by it without telling people what the address is. I don't think anybody in here would pick out what the property is or anything along those lines, and it's a situation for the property owner to resolve. I don't feel that it's anything that we get involved with right now. There are other properties in disrepair or complete abandonment within the township that we don't just go looking for reasons to intervene. If the property owner's current on their taxes, it's not, to me, it's not something that we need to get involved with right now, but.
I've had one neighbor complain a handful of times about this particular address where he's getting more mice and rats coming over to his house. So, I have one neighbor that's complaining.
Right. I mean, we still take any costs and place it on the taxes and they'd be responsible for it.
Yeah, so in this one, it's the condition in the inside of the house that's, was determined to be.
Correct.
And so it's not an external problem. So the danger of the house isn't a structural problem. It's just an infestation, kind of a accumulation of junk inside the house, and it was declared unfit for anybody to live there. So I think no one is living there at this point. So it is a matter of judgment, as to what you do, and then it becomes a choice. Does it warrant tearing the house down? Is it cleaning the house up to eliminate the infestation? Those are other choices you'd also have to consider. Again, I think this is something you as the board have to evaluate and decide, based on what you know about the situation, what's the appropriate action to take to remedy the situation.
Right.
So that might be something to think about in this process also. So.
Yeah, I mean, whatever the remedy would be, whatever we would take, I would say it should be the most cost-effective method.
Have we talked to the property owner?
No. But that would be part of this. I would still make the motion to do a title search on it. Let's at least find out how many interested parties there might be, lien holders. And, they may step up and say they want to remedy it. I don't know if there's a mortgage on the property.
No, that's fair. I mean, that step is definitely one that you would want to take before making a decision.
Right. Have a second?
Yeah, second.
All those in favor for getting a title search?
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign? Motion carries. Depository contracts and banking relationships would be the next on the docket. I don't know which one you guys wanted that one on the agenda.
Well, we brought it up in the last meeting to move deposits to Westfield. I think in the conversation that I had with the prosecutor's office and the information that's come up since then, they were approved for depository as one of our depositories. No contract was signed with them, but they were authorized at the motion 21.
I think it was it was 21, I believe, yes.
So either way, we would be within our rights to, so, I know the last meeting we talked about opening up a Star Ohio account for the fire funds, which I'm assuming, Laura, we've done that, right?
We need a notarized signature first.
Signature.
As the chairman.
Okay. To open the Star Ohio account?
Yep.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, we obviously have Huntington Bank deposits, checking account, that isn't earning any interest. Ty brought Westfield Bank to the last meeting. We should make a decision on what we're doing with those, should we not?
Yeah, I would agree, Justin. I'm not sure who communicated with Huntington, but we have new letters from Huntington, right, Laura? They were trying to communicate with you and something, they sent us something. Is that correct?
Yeah, they emailed you guys.
Yeah. Oh, it's always here. So we read Westfield's proposal last month. And then Huntington sent some new information, and I haven't communicated with Huntington, so I don't know, I'll just read what I'm looking at. So basically, we still have the 3 accounts with them. Their balance, that they ran their numbers off was, $2,330,000, minus their, service charges, interest rate at 3%. Potential net annual income is $69,254. I'm assuming that's a new proposal. Like I said, I haven't talked with them. I just received that in an email. But when I was comparing the two, Westfield, proposal from last month, the annual interest rate earned would be $72,659, and the numbers they used was 2,107,000, so it's 200,000 less, and about 5,000 more in interest. So just bringing it up for discussion.
Westfield obviously seems like the odds-on favorite there, I would say.
Interesting. Westfield's proposal, if I'm not mistaken, was for us to keep $400,000 in each account that earns 0 interest, with the balance then being in investments that were pegged to Star Ohio at 10 basis points less, whereas Huntington's gonna give us 3% on every dollar we deposit with them. So trying to use forecasted interest as the comparison seems kind of like a waste. The first $800,000 that we deposit with Westfield earns no interest. The first $800,000 we deposit with Huntington earns $24,000. So that's, Westfield's proposal is already $24,000 in the hole, and Huntington doesn't hinder us from putting whatever we want in Star Ohio, which Westfield's already guaranteed us their return is gonna be less than Star Ohio's. So really, when you look at the two proposals, there's absolutely no way Westfield comes back with more interest for us. It's not even feasible, unless they're gonna change the fact that the first $800,000 that we deposit with them is not gonna earn any interest.
Well, like I said, I haven't talked with Huntington, but I mean, it's their numbers on their letterhead, so, they came up with 69,000.
Yeah,
And
no,
it was a little bit more
absolutely.
money,
The
so.
proposal that they have here says 69,000. It says 3%
Oh, you
interest
got it.
rate
Yeah,
compared
yeah,
to 0 at Westfield.
Did I hear correctly that we give them $2 million and they give us service charges? Are we goofy?
All the banks do that. Both Westfield's proposal and Huntington's proposal have service charges. They're almost identical, if not identical, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, $150 on both. It's banking. The bankers are gonna make money.
Absolutely.
Then we need to fix them too.
That's a bigger fight than this board's gonna take on.
I'll lead the charge.
As far as investing our money,
Every penny.
How is the overall? Why is the bottom line coming in? Why are they recommending?
why is Westfield's proposal higher? Because
Why
they're,
are they saying that it's gonna come out?
Here's Westfield. No, Westfield, I'm sorry. is 74,766.
You just need to speak up a little.
And they used
Yeah.
2,100,000, and they used 2.3. So, yeah, I don't.
This is Tim Kasuf, 7060 Lafayette. I would say that Huntington gave us zero interest all these years until we said we were gonna move our money. So I would think, and I know a lot of people I know trust Westfield Bank, I would think we would go with the people that automatically offer us money for moving our funds to their trust.
Well, that would be part of the story, but depending on who you talk to, Huntington's been reaching out to us for a while to analyze our accounts. Additionally, Westfield, they're committing to paying us a higher interest than what they're going to reinvest our money into. So they're asking for our deposits and they're willing to take a loss on them.
That doesn't make sense.
There's usually a reason that a bank's willing to take a loss to acquire additional deposits. And again, it goes back to the simple fact that when you look at the 3% from $1 versus 0% for the first 800,000, there's no way, regardless of all the other stuff. And to Ty's point, Westfield Bank's offer is based off of 943,000 in the general and 1.409 in the fire and rescue, which comes out to about 2.3 million. So they're identical numbers to Lafayette's, or to Huntington's proposal. The difference is they're using interest that we're gonna earn or we're forecasted to earn on the 6-month period of time that they're going to pay us on par with what we could do at Star Ohio. But ultimately, you know, the Huntington offer is gonna earn us more interest. Now, we wanna go to, what's that?
In the long run.
Well, again, the first Westfield says deposit our money, we're gonna sweep everything over 400,000 on both sides, but that first 400,000 in your checking account, you get nothing on. Huntington doesn't require us to keep any balance with them. There is no minimum balance on the paperwork that they supplied. I'm sure there is one, and we're obviously gonna keep a level of operating funds. But again, that first $800,000, when you're earning an extra 3% compared to the other one, there's no way Westfield's gonna be able to make up the difference. It's just not possible.
Well, two things. You stand corrected. I was reading the wrong number. So,
That's
yeah,
all right.
you're right. They did compare the same apples to apples. So thanks for picking that out. Secondly, though, the money that's offset, so 400,000 in checking and then the rest goes into investments that we get interest on, is actually, they're guaranteeing 5% for the first 6 months, and after that, they'll reprice the highest rate tier of the premier money market, currently at 5%.
Not on the checking account?
Yeah, it says it on both.
It says, business checking account, target balance 400,000. Excessive balance sweeps into the money market. The money market is what earns 5%.
Right, yeah, that's what I'm
So
saying.
the first 400,000 sits in the checking account that doesn't have an interest rate on it.
Right. So the more money that Westfield's saying that they're gonna make is coming from the 5% of the overage rate.
Right.
Yeah.
But we could take the overage that they would be sweeping and just put it in Star Ohio, which is currently paying 5.6 anyway. So again, Huntington and Star Ohio yields more money than giving it to Huntington, or to Westfield. I mean, I don't, like I said, it's a decision for the board to make, right? It's clear as day to me. But either way, we need to do something other than just let it sit at the current accounts with Huntington that aren't earning high interest.
Oh, no, I totally agree with that as well, absolutely. Did you need that?
Yeah. We've got the go-ahead for the Star Ohio. The form that I need to sign and have notarized, I'll get in there this week with, when Sherry's in there, sign it. So we can get that into Star Ohio for the time being. My big fear with that is that we're gonna have everything in that. That's really the only investment we have is into one fund. I don't know how, I don't think people would be doing that with their 401ks or their IRAs either, to put it in one fund. We've already already got 6 Star Ohio funds, starting another one with the fire district side. I'm not opposed to doing it now, but long-term, I feel a little apprehensive to keep it in there forever because we have everything in one fund.
Yeah, I don't understand why. I get the diversification thing of your own personal portfolio, but we're talking about an investment portfolio. We're talking about a stable value, AAA rated fund that we're not investing. Like, we don't invest. We're not looking for capital appreciation or any of those types of things. We are.
That's kind of exactly what it is. It's that we're investing in Star Ohio, looking for a rate of return on it.
We're talking about bank deposits, CDs are CDs and they're bank deposits. They're the exact same product whether you give them to one bank or another bank. I mean, Westfield, we talked about, Ty wanted to bring up, doing business local, and that's perfectly fine, but if you look at the program that Westfield uses, the way that they do the insurance, the way that they get everything FDIC insured is they farm that money out. It could be with a bank in Alaska or Florida or California. That money's not staying local anyway. On top of it, again, there's no reason to diversify it'd be like saying we need to diversify our checking account between, put 100,000 at Huntington and 100,000 at Westfield. Why not just have 32 different banks, to have all of our money at? I mean,
I think there's a difference between the bank and the Star Ohio account, which is, that's a fund that you're putting into. It's not an interest rate.
Right, and that fund is managed by the auditor of the state of Ohio, who I have a funny feeling manages that more than, and really it's gonna be probably safer than any bank.
It has
that we
been,
give
you're
our
right, but, what happens down the road? In 2008, we had a.
Look, it's pretty clear you guys wanna move the bank into Westfield, so let's just make a decision on where to get it so that we can get some interest on our money. We let it sit for 2 years. It's time to make it stop.
There. I'm not married to Westfield or anybody. I'm just saying, I feel a little apprehensive about putting it in one fund. It's not a guaranteed fund. I know they have had a track record of recent years, but what happens if things go south and they've got 2/3 of our funds gone?
I gotta be honest, you guys should be doing like a break-even analysis or something, like a time projection of, at the end of year one, if I do plan A, plan B, this is what I get. The numbers should tell you exactly
Well,
what.
the thing with the Star Ohio is it's not guaranteed, it's not a known. The bank can provide you an interest rate, right? They can say, we're gonna pay you X interest on it, X percent. Star Ohio, they tried to get a rate of return, and they've had a pretty darn good track record over the last several years, probably because interest rates.
Do you know what Star Ohio invests in? And they're all short term, which means that it's gonna fluctuate very much with rates, which is why, like, if you go look at CD rates right now, if you try to get a 24 or 36-month CD, you're not gonna get any interest. On a 12 to 18 months is a sweet spot right now, which is why when you look at the bulk of what Westfield's offering and they say, we'll peg your rate long-term to Star Ohio minus 10 basis points. They're doing that because they're doing the exact same thing as Star Ohio. The difference is Star Ohio manages billions of dollars for the entire state, and they're audited and managed by the people that run the state finances, whereas Westfield is just a regional bank.
The 3% on the Huntington,
Correct.
is that a guaranteed rate from the time that they switch that account over, or is that a fluctuating rate based on time?
I'm sure there's something in the fine print that allows them to change it,
Because that's what I was gonna say, when I listened to that Westfield rep come in here, and he said, how long is that rate gonna be the same? I don't know, could be some months, could be nothing. I mean, that's what I heard him say. There was no
And that's true,
guarantee
because
at the
even
end.
with Star Ohio, again, they do short-term maturities, so, I'd be amazed if they had anything in their portfolio that was more than 6 months. They're probably statutorily limited or limited by their investment portfolio to be no more than a year, just because it is supposed to be stable value. The longer term you take out a debt instrument, the more fluctuation there is to the actual principal amount, which is where I think what Chris was bringing up about the potential for loss. But yeah, it's.
Well, that's our fiscal officer. You work for a bank, what's your opinion?
I cannot speak to that. I have to recuse myself from that.
Okay.
I don't work for any of those banks, I work for a different one, but I can't. Thank you for asking them.
Well, with Chris, with you signing off on that Star Ohio count, and that takes the bulk of our worries out. I would like to sit down or at least have a conversation with Huntington, because this was just emailed, so I got a ton more questions just to make damn sure we're comparing apples to apples. So I think we have a little bit of time, this is, you know, as long as we're taking that big chunk. I mean, I know you said short-term Star with that last
Yeah, we can at
bit,
least,
but I mean,
get going on that.
I need more conversation with Huntington, to be honest.
Okay.
I mean, it's not going to hurt us, we're not losing anything, if you're signing that into Star Ohio.
I agree.
Well, we're losing 3% on everything that we keep in our checking accounts. I mean, I'm not trying to, you know, we carried almost $2 million in our checking accounts last year.
Mm-hmm.
3% of $2 million.
Yeah, if I had to
$6,000.
make a decision, I would make a decision, and it wouldn't be Huntington tonight, but I wanna give them the benefit of the doubt, for changing their numbers and talking with them. We've been banking with them for a long time, so I think that's being honest. That's kinda where I'm at.
Okay. Well, we don't have to make a decision on the plan tonight, so we can move forward with that.
We can,
No, but we could accept the checking accounts at 3%. There's nothing that locks us into it long term, and then if we decide that it's not a good offer and we wanna go west, we can do that. So why don't I make a motion that we accept the new proposal from Huntington and take their checking accounts at 3% interest.
well, I don't think it's gonna hurt us doing that, even if we did a mistake, it wasn't very long, so I mean, just options are there.
I'll second the motion.
Oh, wait a minute, I think you guys got me wrong.
No, I'm just.
See, I started coming to these meetings in January, and in January, we brought the Star account. And it was tabled till February. And then in February, said we were gonna move it. And in March, we didn't move it, and it's April again, so we have lost at least $15,000 in interest funds that we could have been making all this time.
Bingo.
It'll be really quick. I mean, it might help that he's here, but we received a couple of notices from the prosecutor's office about the land reutilization program that we have here. I spoke with Brian Richter about it, and anytime that there is a foreclosure or a sheriff's sale coming up, they'll send out those notices. And all the prosecutor's office is looking for there is a response from us saying, we're interested, if it doesn't sell, present it to us for a decision later on. I would recommend that we make it a standard procedure that when those notices come in, we just have somebody either, I don't know if the office, if those come directly to Laura or if they just come into the office, but when we get those, I would say we just notify the prosecutor's office, we're interested. That way if it doesn't sell, they'll reach out to us. If I understand it correctly, in talking with Mr. Richter, the first time around, if it doesn't sell at the first sheriff's sale, we have the opportunity to take the property for court costs, and they would be able to then tell us, here's what the court costs are that we would have to pay to take possession of the property. If it's not a price we want to pay or it's not a property we want, we can then decline. It goes to sheriff's sale again. At that point, if it doesn't sell the second time, then we have a decision to make whether we want to take it, and that doesn't cost us anything up front until we would dispose of the property. Did I get that right?
I think so. I'd have to double check
Okay.
some of that myself, quite honestly. It isn't exercised very often.
But at the end of the day, responding to these letters simply
Yeah,
puts the
it's-
prosecutor's
it doesn't,
office on notice to stop the process, to give us a decision point down the road before proceeding to the second sheriff's sale or waiving our rights to it. So I would say that, you know, for us, I would make a motion that we just authorize, again, Laura, do these come to the fiscal office or they just come to the township?
To the township.
Okay, so I would just say that we, you know, when Kristen gets those in the mail, we can, I'll put together a form letter to just respond that says, hey, we're interested, let us know if it doesn't sell.
Yeah, that's
And then that way the prosecutor's office has it in their file, so that when they go through their processes, they would then reach out to us if it was something where we needed to make a decision. That doesn't commit us to anything.
Great idea. That's great.
Yeah, I would make a motion to, just blanket accept, or express interest in any property that we get notification on.
I'll
And
second. Yep, go ahead.
I'll second, yep.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign?
And I'll work with Kristen to get a form that put together.
I don't open the mail, FYI, so I would not know what.
Alright, we'll figure that piece out, who's in charge of it, but the township will respond to those automatically.
Payroll funding accounts. Laura, this is one that you had asked us about last week. I think it's specifically came up from the fire side. This is not about any additional monies that the trustees are paid, it's just when they get paid their paycheck, what fund that salary is drawn from. So, your question was, if it's fire, do we need to take that out of the fire district's side as opposed to the township side? Does that make sense?
Must be Mike or.
No,
You posed a question to me as to, I started to look at, your levies and the relationship between the township and the fire district. So I'm still trying to understand that, quite honestly.
Good luck.
And, that's probably why the auditors are not certain what to tell you to do. So I still have some investigation to do to understand the levies and how they're accounted for. But right now, you're not taking trustee salaries out of any of the
The only
fire
people that
levies.
get paid from fire are the firefighters and the chief.
Right. I'm not quite to the point where I can express an opinion on how to.
Nobody is.
Yeah, I got you, but I've gathered some information, and if these are fire district levy funds, I would say that you would not take trustee salaries out of those funds. If these are township funds that are then paid over to the fire district, that would be a different situation. I know you said, yeah, it's.
They're operating expense monies, according to Kristen at the auditor's office, they're operating expense monies that come in directly here to the fire district.
To the fire district.
There's, the building bond that comes here, and then there's an operating levy.
Yeah, if that is the case, I would tend to think that you would not draw trustee salaries from those. But that's kind of preliminary. I mean, that's, if I had to answer you right now, and these funds go directly to the fire district, then I don't think this.
But the liaison being on the board of the fire district to oversee operations, how does that fit in?
Well, I was looking at the statutes on that, the board of the fire district, the statute gives them like $30 a meeting. So I don't think you would necessarily, pay, that from, distributed from the salaries of the trustee on the township side. So that's a separate funded, function that has its own statute. And I haven't gotten to the bottom of that one quite in terms of, but it appears to me that that's accounted for separately. So I don't think that you would allocate, I don't think you'd draw from fire district funds to pay salaries for the trustees. That would be my opinion at this
So
point.
would it come out of the general fund on the township side?
Well, the township, the trustee salaries are paid out of township funds, whether it's general fund or,
Right.
whatever, whatever budgeted.
So if you're a fire liaison, where do you get paid from? We don't have a fire line item under township anymore because Perry auditor said to remove it and pay all that money into the fire district.
Right. So then the question is, what is the function of a trustee as a fire liaison? Are they functioning on the board, the fire district board? Well, it's the trustees is the board of the fire district. So, they function as the board of the fire district. So we're gonna have to follow up with some further discussion, but at this point, I don't see paying trustee salaries out of fire district funds. So, I'd have to dig further to justify that. I don't quite see how that would be justified. Yeah, so we can explore it some more, but that's where I'm at right now. Okay.
So then general?
Yeah, I'd go with the general fund. If you're trying to allocate for liaison functions to the fire district, I'd just pay it out of general at this point, because you don't have any allocated funds for it.
On that topic, I do have one question. I mean, we just talked about how tight the budget is on the fire side. Is there something I'm missing as to why we would even want to or need to allocate trustee pay to the fire district?
Only because Perry brought it up.
I think it's more of a technical question as to what.
Because it seems based on what you said, it would just be way cleaner. Like, we know we're not gonna be running afoul if we just pay it all out of the township, so why wouldn't we just pay it all out of the township?
Yeah, and like I was saying before, I'm not sure there's a rationale for paying it out of the fire district funds, based on the statutory allocation of, resources.
Well, according to them, and I don't know if this means anything, but they said it's a separate legal entity.
Right.
So it has to be treated as like, Walmart versus Target.
Which is exactly the reason I don't think it would make sense to pay any of the trustee salaries out of those funds, because it is a separate entity. So to mix those two, it just wouldn't make sense.
Okay.
So it's a fundamental distinction between the fire district and the township.
Okay, good. Yes, there's no, the end of bankruptcy thing,
Oh, yeah, that would be.
the recommendation was that,
Yeah, that endo bankruptcy is just, that is I believe a drug manufacturer that's gone into bankruptcy because of the opioid litigation. And the townships, we're monitoring that for the county. We get notices all the time. Some of the townships have gotten some notices because you're participants in the overall settlement. But I wouldn't be concerned about it. The amount that's at stake for the township is minimal, and I don't think it's worth, we're monitoring it in a general sense, and it's even debatable whether the county needs to weigh in at all in the bankruptcy. So I wouldn't worry about those.
Works for me.
thank you. Thank you. I don't think we have anything else.
All right, well, I hate to get up and leave, but if you.
Well, I mean, if you want to stay.
If you'll
you're more than
dismiss,
welcome.
I don't wanna.
Thanks, Mike.
Oh, and this is Greg Bartow. He's with the prosecutor's office, and so he's.
I'm Mike Stryber.
He's my body, you can see, he's a big guy. He's my bodyguard.
I like your work.
Oh, thanks. All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thanks you both.
All right, we'll just go. Zoning resolution assistance?
Really, the only update there is the preliminary legwork that I did. It seems like most of the people that we would outsource aren't interested in jumping in at the last minute. My conversations with the zoning board or the zoning commission feel like maybe within the next 1 to 2 months they should be good. So we'll kind of see where they progress over the next 30, 60 days, and then we may revisit this, but I'd say as of right now, unless we're gonna start back from the beginning again, it's probably not worth bringing somebody in right now, but it was worth making some phone calls and kind of seeing where other people were, so, we'll probably table that for, you know, like I said, revisit that maybe in July and see where the zoning commission's able to get over the next 2-3 months.
MailChimp update?
Me? Want me to do that? Basically, we are having an issue with the domain and getting, like, every time I would try to, like, just do a test email to myself, it wouldn't work. So I don't know if we're going to try and scrap just the MailChimp and try and do our own mailing just through our, you know, at Lafayette Township.com with all of the emails that we have collected so far. I did set up a QR code that will be going out on the new newsletter where people, and then we could probably get put on the website as well. Or the link, on the website where residents can input their email, address, name to become part of the resident contact database to be put, so that our ultimate goal would be to save the township money by not having to snail mail, print all the, newsletters, and to be able to email that out to everyone. So I think that's what if I'm speaking correctly for the trustees, is what their ultimate goal is for that.
Thank you. That might be a good segue into this.
Yeah, might as well go ahead. You want me to do it? All right.
Yeah.
So what Kristen brought up, we've been running into some issues with the domain registration. Obviously, everybody's familiar, the township website is LafayetteTownship.com. That was actually registered originally back in 2000, I believe is what it was, and the ownership was listed as Lafayette Township with an email address that nobody has access to anymore. In trying to work with the registrar, we've run into some issues with them changing ownership. I guess it's one of the downsides to working with, you know, just regular. Right, well, on the flip side, and again, things change significantly over the years, but we still potentially will get the issue resolved and be able to change ownership from this random email account. Well, I shouldn't say random, I mean, obviously it was a township email address, but we no longer have access to it because it was back when Time Warner. Right. So, the renewal isn't until middle of next year, but as it stands now, if the ownership doesn't get resolved, in the middle of next year, we lose registration on the domain and we lose access to the website, potentially all the emails. So while we work through the process of trying to get the registration done, I did reach out to, the .gov websites. They're all run by the federal government. All registration for .gov websites is done through one entity. It's not like buying a domain that you and I can go through any number of domain registration services and buy. They verify that you're actually the public entity that you say you are. They verify the contact information. And on top of that, the account doesn't get owned by any one entity. They register, and you guys should have all received the emails. When I went through starting the process of getting LafayetteTownship.gov, it asked for any contacts that you want to put on there. So I listed all 3 trustees and the fiscal officer as the contacts. So that way, if we did wind up needing to make a change because we lose access to this domain, we would potentially have a .gov. And we may want to do that anyway, because the .gov, we don't have to pay a registration fee to register. I mean, it's not a significant amount of money, but one, it doesn't cost us anything. 2, the entity that controls it, like, you would never run into this situation with a .gov. You would just be able to say, here's, I mean, even if you had to go as far as saying, here's, you know, the election results that show that I was elected as the new trustee, I'm the one that can legally act on behalf of the entity, you'd never run the risk of losing the .gov website like this one does.
I did run this by Mike too last week. I
Okay.
talked with him, and he recommended Laura to drop an affidavit, you know, stating that you're the fiscal officer of this township government entity. Try to establish
But I think
that they use that.
you
We
did
tried
try
that
that last year,
last
didn't you? So I mean, and that's the part that's, I mean, the domain is currently registered with register.com, so I mean, it's just a private business and, you know, that's all fine and dandy for, you know, running business websites and whatnot, but, you know, they haven't been real, not easy to get a hold of on the phone, and, you know, Laura and Sherry both, said that they spent, you know, a pretty good amount of time last year trying to get it resolved to no luck, so, you know, I'm not saying we don't try to go that route, but we better have a backup plan in place as well.
Makes sense. Yeah, for sure. Look on there, the, expiration date is March 17th, 25.
Okay, March 7th,
Yeah,
that's my
so.
fault. Yeah.
A little less than a year.
Oof. Oops.
How crazy is that? I don't think you can even register a domain for 25 years anymore. But yeah, you're right, March 17th. So,
Well, this was updated on, looks like May of 21.
yeah, I don't know what they consider an update on, yeah.
But anyway, yeah, I'm all for you if you want to continue.
Well,
.gov is their backup. I hate the.
And they said it's a 30-day, you know, well, the nice thing too is, if we do wind up going that route, well, shoot, I don't even know. Well, actually, we should be able to, we could probably redirect the domain for the time being, you know, cause we can still do updates to the website, we just can't, you know, make account registration changes. Then again, when they want money, that might change too, so they might become more willing to work with us.
Engine brake restrictions is next.
Well, and that's just a follow-up on the last meeting, I reached out to, the Ashland office for DOT. Yeah, and, if we were to do that, all we have to do is pass the resolution for any of the routes that we wanna put engine brake restrictions on, any of them that are state routes, we then submit the resolution to ODOT. They've just verified that there aren't any other, basically the way Julie explained it to me is you can't, let's take 42 for example, right? We can't put an engine brake restriction for this section and then skip a spot and then put it in here. It's kinda like, not all or nothing, but you're gonna have one section of each state route you can put them in. And then they approve it and order the signs. They take care of, they'll bill us for them, obviously, we pay for them, but they take care of, you know, the actual final resignation, or final placement of them, once they verify that we're good. But we would need to decide what areas we wanted to put them in, and then just pass the resolution and forward it to them.
Well, and then don't forget the map, you gotta draw a map for them where you want the
Right,
signs,
right,
and then you have to
exactly.
show them the
Yeah.
sign that it's, yeah.
But the way Julie explained it, at least when I talked to her, is it really is just it's not they have to approve it per se, it's not, they get to make a value judgment on the traffic. If we want one, we put it in, they just verify that, I guess, the process is followed properly and that the right signs are put up. So.
What about, cause when I talked with them, or with her, she was talking about, traffic studies and stuff, and then I think they're gonna do another one on Wedgewood.
What the way that it came up with, and I was talking with her, was just that, the only thing that they do traffic studies for are, any type of traffic restrictions, whether they be traffic lights, stop signs, that kind of stuff, and that is something where they have final say on. Like, we can tell them all day long that we want a four-way stop up here at, you know, Ryan and 162, and if the traffic study doesn't back it up, they're not gonna give it to us. So, she did say that the last full traffic study, I wanna say it was 18.
Yeah, I
So
think
she
that
was,
one was
yeah,
18.
so she was more than happy to do one, and she said, I haven't seen anything out there yet, but she said 4 to 6 weeks they should have it completed. Chief?
And I did request a traffic study when I went down there to talk to Julie.
You're just too nice.
Basically on the, maybe that's what it was, basically on restricting the speed.
Oh, yeah.
Because the new developments, I think the country club, it's a bad spot, and I asked for a traffic study for safety.
Okay.
And I don't know if she ever followed through with that, or if she was planning on it, or if she talked to
You were talking
it.
about for speed, or was it for an intersection?
For an intersection and speed, so
Okay.
like.
I can follow up with her and just
Wedgewood
ask
Ryan,
her. you know.
Ryan Road, Wedgewood, and then the new developments by the country club as well. So,
I believe we asked her last year also a couple of times, cause we're on that corner.
Well, and I'll defer to Ty on this, cause he's dealt with them more, but from what I took from the conversation, speed's probably a pipe dream to get them to put any type of speed controls in. I mean, we can keep barking at them, but that seems to be the one that they're more reluctant to mess with than
Can we
potentially
get a
traffic
flasher?
signals.
Can we get a four-way stop
Well, that-
there,
that's-
Ryan?
Well, that's what
Well,
we're hoping for.
yeah, the issue is it's their road, they're the deciding factor, we just need to make the argument strong enough, and if.
But it's
If
also,
they
I'm
do,
sorry, it's
if
us
they
that
told
needs
you
to
that they were
say
gonna
it.
redo a traffic study, then that's a good
Yeah.
thing for us.
Yep, and then we can go from there too. I mean, Lake Road, Lake's a county.
County.
So we maybe, if it doesn't work, working with the state, we might be able to go to the commissioners and see if maybe they can push a little bit, since they have a little more pull on the county roads potentially. But, I know, but hopefully this traffic study gets somewhere.
Yeah,
So we'll see what they come back with.
Yep.
Go ahead, Steve.
A quick question, you guys, on the Jake break, situation. Are we allowed as a township to request that no Jake breaks can be used within our township, or do we have to pick a specific road or area of a road?
We could I mean, she didn't say anything.
Okay.
Well, here's the thing, right, we control the township roads, as far as that goes, if we wanted to put any restrictions in there. Now, I will say, I mean, cause I've had people reach out to me on both sides of it. I mean, there are valid reasons for the use of the Jake brake. There are safety concerns, and, I mean, I guess on the flip side of that, if I'm driving a truck and I'm in an emergency situation where I need to use it, I don't care that there's a sign there, I'm gonna stop my vehicle the way that I need to. But I guess what I'm saying is, having a background in transportation, it's not that they're designed to be used just to annoy people and be loud. I know some drivers do that, just, you know, just like some motorcycle drivers just like to make, you know what I mean, like, it is what it is. But if we wanna consider it, you know, it's probably something that we should
I would say
take a look at.
if they're requesting a map, I doubt the entire township at the point would fly with them.
Oh, no, you'd have to go through each one and say this route here to
Right.
here, even if it is end to end, you'd have to say Route 42, here to here,
Yeah.
boundary to boundary, whatever, you know. And that would be one that would be a perfect example, I mean, right out by Richardson's farm, you know, that big hill. I mean, that's an area where it's probably more.
They may or may not go for it.
Right, you know, I mean, like I said, there are some concerns, but I also understand the people more towards the center of town, you know, like when you live right off the road, you know, it gets to be a
I
significant
would see
nuisance.
no reason.
We can also do timeframes on them, if we really
Yeah,
wanted to,
right.
you know. So that seems like kind of a half measure that either you're gonna do it or not, but. Anyway, I just wanted to update on that piece of it, cause I had some people reach out since the last meeting about that.
Yeah, no, that's good. Maybe I missed it. Did she happen to say when about time frame?
No, she didn't give any commitments on like how long it would take, but she didn't make it sound like it was real tough as much as it was, we do the resolution, we get it drafted up properly, like you said, signifying or, you know, identifying exactly where we want it. And then they just verify that there isn't already something on file, or that there isn't, you know, another section of that road that's already got one. My guess would be probably a simple situation like, on 42, when you get in towards the city limits, they've got a no engine brake, right? So they may move a sign, you know what I mean? Cause that's no longer the start of the no engine brake. If we were to put one in on 42, they might move it. I'm guessing it's a coordination thing, but no, she didn't say within 30 days you'll have your sign. It was just, we go through the verification
Oh, no,
process.
I'm sorry, I was talking about the traffic study.
Oh, she said that she thought she'd have it completed within the next 4 to 6 weeks, so I don't know if that means that just the study will be done or if the report will be available, but I'll follow up with her and kind of see where we're at.
Yep.
Julie.
Cicero or?
Yeah.
Cicero?
Coachella.
Coachella, that's it, thank you.
I was gonna butcher that, so thank you.
So you're not taking any action tonight then?
I wouldn't, I just, like I said, you know, that's something, I think it's a bigger discussion than for us to sit down, but, you know, maybe that's something too to talk to Luke about in service, just to kind of see what his thoughts are, and, you know, cause again, there's there's the noise component of it, which is valid, but then there's also a safety component that needs to be taken into consideration as well.
Right. Grant review and approval.
First, Chief's done a fantastic job, as he highlighted earlier, with all the grants. The only question I have on the process is, and I don't know how much it would fall into with the fire department, but with a lot of those with a lot of grants, there are additional requirements and stipulations that are put on, or things that you're committing to or giving away in return for taking that money. And as I understand it right now, we don't really have any, I don't wanna say put controls on Chief, but like, do we have anything in place, or do we have is the liaison reviewing those to make sure that what we're committing to, you know, in return for that money is something that the township's comfortable with? And the reason I bring it up is, and I'll be a little bit foggy on the examples, but there was a jurisdiction in, New York that took a bunch of federal money several years ago that in return wound up giving away control over their zoning. And so they wound up being forced to accept low-income federal housing in an area that was not something that the township or that the jurisdiction wanted, but they had no recourse to stop it because they had accepted grant money. So again, I don't think an example like that is gonna tie into too many of the fire ones, but, you know, if some grants overlap, some grants, you know, if you don't meet certain requirements, they come back and want the money back later. Do we have a process to review those, is all I'm saying. And is that something that we should maybe just sign off on, like, hey, we're good with this, you know?
Yeah, I definitely think there should be a process, so the trustees are in the know. I think, Laura, last year, towards the end of the year, you and Bill and I sat down and reviewed a bunch of them, so I don't know how many have been applied for, you know, federal grants, that kind of stuff,
Right.
since the start of the new year, but, yeah, I think we definitely should have some way of knowing that.
Right, even if it's, like I said, even if it's the liaison that we grant authority to make sure that they're good, a second set of eyes is always a good thing.
Yeah, I would go with the second set of eyes. I don't think we could wait one meeting a month to look at them because, you
Right.
know, some of them take a lot of time. You need to start initiating them, but second set of eyes.
I would say we should use the liaison.
Yeah, I agree.
Take the time period to do that. Update the board at the next meeting.
Sure.
Yeah, I like it.
VFIS insurance.
Oh, yeah, okay, so the chief did, budget for this. It's just a renewal for their accidental, insurance, for all the firefighters and, paramedics. It went up just a smidge, not a whole lot, 70-some bucks, for the year, to $2,463. And that's for the accidental, death, accidental injuries, for everybody, on the roster. So I would make the motion to approve, the renewal, for $2,463.
I'll second.
The fire district.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Resolution number 12, countywide 911 system.
Basically for anybody. We were all emailed from the county.
That's the one from Brian.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's just, it's approving their process.
Right.
I see no problem with it.
Countywide 911 system, yeah, I would move to approve. Well, actually, it's a resolution, so. we have to
Do a roll call vote. Crowley,
Aye.
trustee Fullerton,
Aye.
and I will say aye too. Resolution, This is number 12-2024 for Lafayette Township. That's the one we're gonna sign, okay?
Per Kristen.
Administration building hours. This is one that I had on, I think you wanted to talk about it as well. I think initially, we kind of wanted to have as much coverage as we could with somebody in the office. And so, it's kind of settled into, Kristen is there from 8 to 3 on Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Correct.
And Sherry is there from 7 to 3 on
7 to 2.
7 to 2 on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. So there's some overlap on Wednesday. And we have 5-day-a-week coverage on that.
The only thing that I wanted to add to that, because I mean, that's, you know, it makes sense and it works well for the people we put in those positions, which is ultimately, you know, kind of the most important thing, really.
Right.
But with Sherry, with the zoning inspector's role and at times being out of the office, the only thing I would say is when we advertise them for hers, I would probably list the Tuesday and Friday 7 to 2. We should probably put a notation on it that's not a guarantee that she's gonna be in the office, cause there may be something zoning related that's pulled her out. I know she had expressed that as a little bit of a concern, just.
I had put a little, we had like a sample of like, once we were gonna post on the door, and I did post a disclaimer with like a number, they could call her, like if there was an emergency, or something, cause if she has to go do a zoning issue, which most people are there for Sherry anyway, you know, that, you know, or if there's something they need, it's always good to make an appointment. And not just show up. Appointments are always the best, especially with Sherry, cause she's super busy.
Field day.
Yeah, and that would be the goal, cause she even said that, like Wednesday was her goal to be out, but also, I mean, some of her responsibilities for working with the fiscal office too require her to be out of the office too, so she, you know Sherry, she wants to run everything by us before kind of making a decision. And she just wanted us to discuss the flexibility that, you know, she may have to be out, and that her 7 to 2 wasn't glued to the desk necessarily all the time.
Can you repeat those, Chris or Justin? Mondays, Kristen, 8 to 3.
Yep.
Tuesday, Sherry, 7 to 2.
Yep.
Wednesday, Kristen and Sherry.
But
So
Sherry's
basically-
7 to 2.
And Kristen is
8 to 3.
8 to 3, so we have
Okay,
coverage from 7 to 3
Yep.
on
got it.
Wednesday. Well, yeah, Sherry must likely be there
Yep.
early. And Thursday is Kristen, 8 to 3, Friday is Sherry, 7 to 2.
Okay.
And then probably the only other thing that I would add to that, is I know we had talked about trying to potentially have like some evenings, you know, possibly weekend time, and it's tough with the hours that we've kind of put on those. We've got that new conference room that we've put together, we've got workspaces down there. I would kind of wanted to get your guys' temperature on, potentially rotating Saturdays, being available for a couple hours on Saturday mornings, the 3 of us. Obviously, we're not gonna do it all at once, but, you know, a couple hours on a Saturday morning, once a month, I'd be more than happy to take 2 of them. If you guys wanted to do like one Saturday, that way somebody could just be in on, somebody needs to stop in from the township to drop stuff off. I think the 3 of us can handle receiving paperwork or answering a few questions for a couple hours. Thoughts?
Tune in on my Saturdays, Justin. Games and, I like the idea of trying to be available for the residents, that's for sure. What about, Saturdays by appointment?
We could do something like that.
Yeah, I would
I'm not
advertise it
opposed
by
to it.
appointment because, I mean, I haven't had any requests in the last couple of years of that. But I mean, I would certainly be available.
I guess
Obviously, that's what we do.
My take on it is simply that I think there's some people that maybe are reluctant to like ask us to take time, but if we made ourselves available, I think you'd find time that there'd be people who come in. And some of them, I mean, we spent that money, and I think it was a good use of the money, you know, fixing up that three-car garage into a nice workspace and a conference table for just this type of thing. You know, throw on a pot of coffee, and if nothing else, I can get some of my other paperwork done, so. I don't know about your guys' houses, but town hall's much quieter, much quieter than mine.
Hence, that's why it would be awesome to have a desk.
So, just something to think about.
No, that's, yep, that's good to think about, yeah. Oh, we did donate.
I think we covered Palter.
Yeah, Parker, payroll. Real quick, I'd like to make a motion to allow the Lions Club at Chippewa Lake, to use the township-owned property, what is it, the southeast corner of Lake and Chippewa for their, Mother's Day plant sale.
Have we done anything with, like, do we have a written policy on any of that? I know we have a policy for like renting the town hall, and I'm not suggesting rent that space, but my only concern would be, let's make sure that we're all, like, nonprofits or, you know, like, if the Girl Scouts wanted to set up and sell cookies, I think those are, like, it's a good use of that land, but we wanna make sure we're not just singling out certain entities to be able to use it.
Yeah, you can come up with a policy for that.
But as far as approving, do they have set dates?
The Saturday before Mother's
Mother's
Day.
Day.
The 11th, I think,
What is Mother's Day?
or May, what did I say?
May 8th, 9th,
11.
11th,
12th.
12th?
May 12th, I checked. So that would be, the 4th and 5th of May, the Saturday and Sunday before?
Yeah, I don't even know if they do it on Sunday, I think they just do it on a Saturday, but.
I thought it was just the Saturday before the 11th, yeah.
Oh, like, because they know we're not gonna plan a week in advance, good call. Alright, so,
Second.
May 11th, second, yeah.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Seasonal hires for our roads department, I don't think it's gonna be this month, but probably in the not too distant future. Rick normally hires 2 part-time guys for mowing season to help out, so, I would make a motion for Rick to be able to hire, Al and Tim back on a part-time basis for 2024.
Do we have, what were the pay rates from last year, do you remember?
Top of my head, I don't, but it would be the same.
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Health insurance renewal. I didn't, Frank Harmon sent this out a while back, I didn't realize you didn't get a copy.
Sorry, I got one now.
You did, so we're all on the same page with it. I also met with a gentleman who actually lives in the township from GDK, he's a broker as well. If we don't take any action right now on this, I believe that it would just turn over at our current plan with the increased rates. So for the time being, I think we should probably go with his proposed rates. It's a $48 a month overall increase, not per person, it's $48 a month for the time being. And then I would like either, maybe he could come in and present to us his plans, he can shop around. It could be during a session, doesn't have to be in a public meeting, we wouldn't be able to discuss it, but he could definitely present what he presented to me. Or you guys could do it individually, but I suggest that you do meet with him. He did have some good things to say, and I don't think it ever hurts to shop around and introduce some competition into it.
No, not at all. So your proposal is to, Frank's recommendation was to keep the current plan, but increase the deductible, that's what you're recommending?
Correct, and that premium cost for that is a $48 a month increase.
But the deductibles go to 5 and 10.
Deductibles go to 5 and 10.
Yeah, I actually, talked to Scott, because he had sent an email out earlier, I think it was a month or so ago, Scott and I actually graduated from Clover together. He's a year older, so remember that. But yeah, no, he's a good man, and I think it would be good to get some additional quotes for insurance. Obviously, it's one of the most expensive line items that we have. I guess my question though, in speaking with him, and actually Frank Harmon said the exact same thing. If we're not gonna go through form fire and do the questionnaires, it's probably pointless to shop.
He didn't say that, but that's one thing he would have explained to everybody. And I don't know exactly what it is. I think it's an online data gathering.
Exactly, it's gonna be questionnaires that each of the employees are gonna have to fill out, and it gives them the most information possible to then hopefully give us the best pricing.
Right.
If we're not going to kind of force people to do that, I think we're kind of wasting everybody's time. So I guess that would be the only place that I would kind of push back is if we're not gonna give ourselves the opportunity and give the agents that we're asking to shop it the best tools to hopefully get us the best rates, it's kind of pointless.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
it's not the best competition. He may be able to find something better, but
Right.
there's probably more out there if we do decide to do that.
But are you saying that Justin, after we talk to him, cause I haven't talked to him, you're saying?
Oh, yeah, well, absolutely, give them a call and talk to them. I mean, outside of them preparing rates for us, there's not a ton of different stuff other than picking it. I mean, I know it's a little more complicated, but it's kind of, car insurance to a degree, you can slide around your deductibles and what coverages you have and that kind of stuff, but at the end of the day, you get a price and you pick an insurer you like, so, I would definitely say give them a call, but.
He said there's a few carriers that would only accept form fire, which is an online.
And then on top of it, it's just like any other underwriter, right? If the more information you have to be able to underwrite a policy, the better you're gonna feel about trying to be competitive, whereas, you kind of assume the worst on not getting that information. So that would be the only ask that I would have, if we're gonna shop it, let's make sure everybody.
And there would be no deadline, so if we decided to just, renew the current plan with the proposed change for $48 a month, we could end that in June or July, whenever we come up with a new plan, if we come up with a new plan from GDK.
Well,
to me, there's no harm in it.
No, but while we're on the topic of health insurance, the one thing that I would like us to look at, health insurance premiums, everybody's dealing with, increases. I know nobody can see the numbers, but you can kind of get the feel from 1999 to 2023, little, big, pretty straightforward, and you guys can look at those. But the one thing that kind of jumps out at me with the way that we do insurance in our township is, last year, KFF, who does a lot of insurance, group health insurance research and kind of a think tank, so to speak, on average, workers contributed last year $6,575 annually towards the cost of their family premium for a health insurance plan that's offered by their employer. In Lafayette Township, it's $600. Especially if we're looking at potentially increasing from a part-time fire department to a full-time fire department, that's another, significant cost. If we were more in line with that, even more in line with what other townships do, as far as the premium participation of the employees, I think that would help offset some of these increases as well. For example, Medina Township does 15%. We're currently doing 3%. I don't even know that Medina is the best comparison, given how much bigger their budget is than ours. But it's probably not fair also to pick a township like Chatham, who's a good amount smaller. But for example, Chatham, their dependents can be on their plans, but it's 100% at the cost of the employee. So finding somewhere in between those two is something that I think we need to look at for the board. Just increasing the premiums premium participation for the employees to 15% likely saves the township about $30,000 a year. So, just something to think about as we go through the process.
Yeah, there's no question that it just keeps going up.
That ain't rocket science, right?
Right.
So I'll meet, what's this guy's name? GDK? Scott. All right, I'll get a hold of Scott, have a sit down with him, and then, we're gonna bring it up again then next meeting.
Well, in a future meeting, I mean, right now, I'd like to make the motion to move to the proposed plan by Frank Harmon, which is the same coverage, just a higher deductible and, $48 a month increase for the overall premiums.
Yeah, I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Pose same sign. Motion carries. Town hall rentals and construction. We're starting to do some demolition work in the town hall, tearing walls down. We got new windows in this week, so, talked with Rick and Christian today, and right now, the latest, rental we had is May 12th, that's not like a 4-H group or something, that wouldn't be probably highly impacted by the summertime, like it's a wedding or a birthday party or something.
Yeah, there's a baby and a wedding.
So I would like to, close, the town hall for rentals from May 12th to June 30th to give us a chance to get in there and get, demo work done and new framing and drywall in.
To June 30th?
Yes.
So we
Or
need 6 weeks is,
As of right now,
that's true, and we can always open it earlier, get it done earlier.
Yes.
Yeah, there was nothing after, like we said, May 12th was the last date of like a charged rental. Then there was some 4-H meetings, which there's other places I can talk to the 4-H advisors about that. And plus, once we get closer to fair, I'm also a 4-H advisor, so I kind of have an in, but like, once you get closer to fair, we're doing our meetings at the fair and like getting ready for fair stuff, so that's the less that they'll actually even be using the town hall.
Gonna do the work on the inside, Rick and the guys? I mean,
And that's probably not the drywall, but everything else.
well, I was gonna say, it's a lot of work in a
Right.
6-week period for those guys to do it,
Yeah, I think we're gonna have to get a cost to hire out the
for
drywall.
the drywall part. All right.
Township mail.
And I was just gonna.
Wait, was that a motion? Or no?
Oh, yeah,
Close the
we-
town hall?
We probably should.
Okay, I'll make the motion to close the town hall for rentals from May 13th to June 30th, 2024.
I'll second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye, pose same sign. Motion carries.
No, I was just gonna ask, since we've all got our mailboxes at the town hall, and obviously anything that comes addressed to us goes in those, but the general stuff, kinda like the legal notices that we have, just general township business, we have the ability to just scan those. And, I think we should adopt some sort of process for, who's responsible for opening the mail. Date stamp when we get stuff, cause some stuff, we've run into it before where we're asked to respond to something in an unrealistic time frame. So if we're getting stuff, if we date stamp it, scan it into the system, email it to the 4 of us up here so that everybody's on the same page. Just a matter of who's kind of the point person. I don't know if Laura wants to do that, if it's something that we wanna put on admin, Sherry and Kristen to do kind of together on the days that they're in.
I wouldn't do Sherry, I would just do Kristen, and be done with it.
Okay. Does anybody check the mail on the days that Kristen's not in though?
Sherry does.
So I guess we kind of do both of them, right?
So,
Yeah.
so the ones that you're wanting me to open are, that just says like addressed to Lafayette Township trustees?
Anything that's generic, yeah.
Okay.
absolutely.
So those,
I would think so.
because a
right?
lot of them are like, invoices and stuff like that obviously goes to
Right.
Laura.
Right.
And, okay. So anything that says Lafayette Township Trustees, I will open, scan, and email to all of you. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Okay,
As long as that works with everybody else.
got it.
No, that's good.
But yeah,
Well,
I
just,
can
I
do
mean, that's
that.
something that obviously Chris can take off his plate, and then that way we're not juggling kind of who forwarded what to who and that kind of stuff.
Second page.
Yeah.
all right, spring cleanup voucher program.
We had I had received a call probably about 2 weeks ago from a resident that was asking, I think we had approved doing these. Rick picked up the vouchers, and they're available.
Started today.
Started today, okay. Alright, just wanted to make sure, so we do have the spring cleanup vouchers for anybody that's not available, or not familiar, stop down at the town hall, pick those up, and it's good through July 31st this year?
Correct, so I have all the information on that. If I'm not in, Sherry knows where the folder is to get your cleanup voucher. When you come in, make sure you have your license or proof of residency. You can get, it's one per household, so like you can't get one and your spouse can't get one, it's one per household. Yeah, and then I also have flyers if you're, if it's for business or residential, as to which bay you go to. And I have times on those flyers as well as when the, Recycle Medina County is open and available for you to drop off your trash.
What dates?
Like what days of the week they're open.
Okay, like from now on, or?
It's from now until July 31st.
Okay.
And then, there's also a flyer about what hazardous material you can and cannot take. There are also links to those, I believe, on the website that Sherry has posted for you.
And to pick up the vouchers, you're only there from 8 to 3 now? Is that what you guys just did?
On
Or 7 to 6.
Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Fridays.
Can't really go. Okay.
On Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, Sherry will be there at 7 a.m.
Justin's there noon to midnight on Saturday.
But if none of those times work for you, please email or call, and that's what will make a special appointment for one of the trustees to meet you, to be able to give you your voucher.
She's a natural.
7 a.m.
Yeah, she's digging a hole.
I am. I will make them be there for you.
Share that.
Traffic study.
Is that
We
talked
covered
about.
that, I think we covered. The only thing I would touch on is the social media policy, and I'll forward it to you, but, I had a resident that had emailed just some additional information. One recommendation, might be to reach out to the Medina County, Police Department, because I'm sure they've got a social media policy. We may be able to piggyback on that, and then also, send an interesting link on a recent, Supreme Court case, decision on what constitutes, public business on social media. So, I have not forwarded that yet, but I'll send that out to everybody just so you guys can have it.
Sounds good.
And then we kind of covered the last one as well, but I received an email after the last meeting from a resident, with some questions, just stating that it was hard to hear, which I thought was brought up earlier, so just wanted to pass it along to the guys. It probably would have been good to put that at the beginning of the meeting, but hopefully we did a little bit better job today.
Justin, we've been hearing those comments for a long time, and I think we ought to just start putting some microphones up and,
Yeah.
I mean, I've been
Maybe
to so
worth
many
it.
town
Yeah.
hall meetings, trustee meetings around the area, and boy, they've got some nice setups.
And they're not
with nice
expensive,
sound.
they're not expensive, I
We
don't
gotta
know.
do something,
Okay.
because these don't work for you too.
Well, I was gonna say, these are just microphones anyway, aren't they?
Yeah, well, it's a training room,
Oh, okay.
but, yeah, they don't work. Before Chris closes the meeting, I didn't put this on the agenda, but it was emailed a month or so ago. Remember, we had the phones go down, Wi-Fi issues at the admin complex. Our IT guy, Keith from KGC, had sent out a proposal of the firewalls and routers and switches and stuff that I don't even know what I'm talking about. I'm not a computer guy, but anyway, but I understand the importance of it. Do we wanna talk about that for 5 minutes, or you wanna table it to the next, I mean,
We
it's something
should,
that we need to do.
The internet at the admin building is a nightmare. And it's far from my expertise, but I talked to Keith for a little bit about it, and, you know, to me, the biggest problem stems from the fact that we share internet signal service between this building and that building, which isn't that uncommon for, I mean, universities do the same thing and big companies, but that comes with a big price tag. Based on what Keith sent out, I can't help but wonder if it makes more sense to just have separate internet here and down there. Yeah, it's an extra monthly bill, but Keith's proposal was what, like 15 grand?
12,600.
And no guarantee that we weren't gonna have to do stuff, and I get the also, cause the other thing that came up in the conversation is, he mentioned that eventually he wanted to suggest, you know, backup redundancy, we should have a second internet provider anyway, it's like, why not just,
Well, and if you guys have your new cubicles and you're all hopping on the internet as well, it's just gonna get weird.
which is why I wonder if it doesn't make more sense to ask Keith for potentially a proposal to, instead of worrying about all this switch, network, bridge, sharing internet between two buildings a mile apart,
Right.
that maybe it makes better sense to have
You
separate
wanna
internet here and there.
follow up with him
Yeah.
on that, because he was saying, what, $100 Wi-Fi part down at the admin was actually shutting down the phones down
Right.
here, it's like, you're shutting down phones on a fire station?
Yeah.
We can't be doing
Right.
that.
No, I do think there's, unless I'm missing something, and maybe I am, cause it's not my area of expertise,
No,
but
mine
it
neither.
sure seems like there's probably a more cost-effective way to solve this problem and give us better, like you said, you can't have the admin building knocking out the fire department.
No.
It doesn't affect, obviously, the emergency radios, but still the phones need to work too, so our guys can do their jobs up here.
Right.
And I do think you'd wind up getting a much better signal for everybody at the admin building if we looked at doing that, so.
Yeah, if you could bring that to the next meeting, that'd be awesome, because, I mean, I'm sick of this.
We should get Wi-Fi back down there though in the next couple of weeks, he said, the new access points are shipping next week.
Okay, so that should at least get us functional
Yeah.
for now, and let's work on at least finding out what the alternative would look like
Yeah.
on that. Because I know we mentioned firewalls being a big deal, and obviously the fire department, far more sensitive information up here. Not that we don't have security issues as well, but, I mean, I think we can get by with maybe a little bit less security down there than what these guys think up here with all the health information and things that are stored. So, plus you keep two separate networks, I mean, you know, if somebody hacks the township, you know, like if somebody gets into the network through the township, it's gonna affect up here, vice versa, so.
Right. Yeah, I'd be curious.
Alright, I'll reach out to Keith and see what we can come up with.
Bear with me, I got like 8 or 10 more things. April Fool. I make a motion to approve the warrants of the township and adjourn.
The only question I have on that, Laura, were you able to do a listing of the warrants? Perfect. Alright, I second.
All those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Pose same sign? Motion carries, meeting adjourned.
Did Linda go home to go today?
Yeah.